TNA is the best wrestling in the whole world.
Oh yeah, you could be king of these nuts. You know what I'm saying?
It's not live, they'll edit it if they don't like it.
Oh.
TNA is my world. Welcome to Planet Jarrett.
You will feel the power. Period.
You get naked. This is BS. This sucks. I've lost my objectivity and I don't give a damn.
Welcome everybody to You've Got to Be Kidding Me, episode number 31. We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. This episode we're talking about Turning Point 2004 in December of 2004. I'm Garrett Kidney, and I'm joined as always by Liam Jones.
I fucking love a TNA.
That's an enthusiastic opening right there. You're coming right in, high energy, a deep devotion to the subject matter. What more could I ask for?
I said it, and then like a wave of heat went over my body, and I don't know what that means, but I don't think that's good.
No, that's your body filling with warmth at the love and joy it has for TNA. It invigorates you to the degree that your body gets warm.
It feels like a mild stroke, but I'm sure it's the warmth of TNA.
It's the stroke that Jeff Jarrett delivers every single week on Impact that is just embedding itself within you.
He sure does deliver it every single week.
Our Bree-woo best friend, AEW superstar Jeff Jarrett.
He had like the third best match on that show.
Well, you do have the consistent like AEW MVP that is Sting.
It's Sting! But he wasn't on any of these shows.
No, this is a Stingless environment. There's every other WCW star, but it's a Stingless environment.
I'm coming into this podcast with the same energy that Kevin Nash comes into any Impact.
So you're going to go 3 times longer than you were supposed to, is what you're saying?
While simultaneously not doing anything.
Oh dear, Big Kev. We even got a Lex Luger sighting this month, so...
Great. Well, that'll be good for the YouTube views.
Yeah, the entire Best Damn section will be just like, Lex Luger was on Best Damn, and that's what we're talking about for 15 minutes.
He just posed.
He did just pose. So your back is out. That's the reason Liam's in a mild degree of discomfort. So as he sits here for 3 hours, or probably 4.
I haven't sat in a chair in like a day and a half. And let me tell you, it doesn't feel great.
So know that Liam is suffering for this art, which is the real reason you should go to patreon.com/kiddingme and support us.
To pay my medical bills.
Liam can get back surgery, ?
Yeah, let's go. It's from Carrying the Podcast. No, take it back. It's from us carrying the VOW podcasting network.
Thank you. That means I can be on board with your arrogance, and it's not pitting us against each other.
Yeah, see, that's why I changed it. Because I'm a team player.
Listen, we're on the same network that has Days of Thunder, so it requires
I'm going to be
carrying.
sad on Days of Thunder.
We're really building up the beef for when we do the crossover episode for WWA.
I like how one-sided it is.
Uh-huh.
Like, they just called you, like, a racist, and then it's been nothing but, like they threw a pebble and we responded with a machine gun.
That's the way it works. You don't come at us.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're that kind of podcast, you know, don't come at the kings. Do not miss.
We will end you.
By making up mildly disconcerting rumors.
About your love of King Charles. Sorry, my mistake.
Oh, wow. That's my king you're talking about, Garrett.
That is your king. I made I think it was Mason Mount mistake during the World Cup when they were doing the anthems and he sang God Save My Gracious Queen.
Who was that guy? Do you want to talk about Cum Dog?
Sure, your
you
Australian
brought up the World
team.
Cup. That's the only thing I remember.
Your favorite wrestler, friend of Grado, which does tie it into TNA, Cum Dog.
Australian World Cup team member, the Socceroos as we call them, Cum Dog.
You did have your first win yesterday. You beat Tunisia.
Which I've never heard of.
You've never heard of Tunisia?
No. And I asked everyone in my house if they had heard of Tunisia, and they were like, no. And then we came to the conclusion that they were making up countries so that Socceroos could get wins.
This is an anti-Africa agenda from you right here.
This was an enhancement match.
So after they lost to France, a country you've heard of, they're like,
Yes.
let's invent a fake country in order
Yeah.
for us to beat.
Yep, 100%.
An interesting theory.
We should split from Tasmania and then make Tasmania its own country for that same reason.
So you're going to play against Denmark in your final game, which is basically a playoff winner goes through.
We're going to win. I'm telling it right now. Everyone who's listening to this podcast, go put money on Australia to win the whole thing.
I like the way not just to beat Denmark, not just to qualify for the round of 16. It's like win the whole World Cup.
It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming. Football's coming home to us.
Ah, you got the Brits in the end.
Are we getting a World Cup? We have like a Women's World Cup coming up, right?
You have the Women's World Cup coming up next year, which we have qualified for, by the way.
Good promotion. You see, we win the other World Cup, and then we have the Women's World Cup here. Please don't read into the fact that I almost called it the real World Cup.
Wow. Sexist Liam Jones coming in hot.
I was like, no, that's not what I should call that at all.
Cancelled.
It was the AFLW women's. Well, I guess that's implied with the W at the end. The AFLW Grand Final today, Garrett.
Oh, who won?
That would be Melbourne.
Are they the best team?
Yeah.
I guess Liam displaying his deep knowledge of women's sports.
We won 19-15,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very low-scoring game, but I imagine it was a lot of technical play.
I'd say you say we. You're not from Melbourne.
It's my place. I live here. I voted in the Melbourne and Victorian election this last week, 2 days ago.
You were simply a fair weather fan jumping on board the successful sports teams.
In my defense, there's no other team, and the Women's League was established in 2017. There hasn't been any time. There is no Mildura team.
You should have launched it.
Let me see what clubs there are. We got Adelaide, Brisbane, Carlton, Collingwood, Essendon, Fremantle, Geelong. Those are all just the men's teams. Get some exclusive women's teams.
Ah, if only there was one from Mildura.
Exactly.
All the more reason you have to create this team, Liam.
I guess technically I would just go Melbourne. I don't know what else is near here. I don't want to go Collingwood. I could never support them. Interesting.
So what else has been going on in your life?
I don't know.
Since we last recorded, we have both played and finished Pokemon.
Yes, it is a good Pokemon game. It may in fact be the best Pokemon game.
There's probably some people on the internet that are going to get mad at you at the prospect of calling that game the best Pokemon game.
Well, I should cry.
They do. It's all they do exclusively. They cry a lot.
I mean, I get it's not like the most polished thing in the world, but you know what? I had a sense of adventure that I have never felt with a Pokemon game before, so fuck you.
Yeah, because I beat the Pokemon League. Not even the Pokemon League. I beat the end game yesterday. And I've just been wandering the map, leaping over things on my Rhydon and catching Pokemon. And it's a fun time. It's just a fun time.
Yeah, I am the ace. I am Academy Ace 3 times over.
Oh, I haven't gotten to the tournament yet. I'm only halfway through. Spoilers for the end game. You beat the gyms again, like every Pokemon game. But I'm only halfway through that.
I was very happy about. My favorite one out of all of the gyms that you refight is the Bug Gym.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done that one yet?
I don't think so.
Because at the end of it, she goes, you know, the champion made me promise to be, like, easy on people because my gym's, like, closest to the school. But fuck that. You've a little fight. I want to be, like, real tough. So if anyone complains about it, not all pastries are sweet. And I was like, she is the coolest.
I do like that they've actually made that canon, because it's always this thing. It's like this gym trainer has level 4 Pokemon. It's like, no, they're meant to be. It's meant to be a difficulty curve.
I'd probably give like the game like an 8.7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the big things that I think would have made it like a slam dunk into the 9s for me would have been if the gyms were scaled to how many badges you had. Because I appreciate that you can do them in any order, but I would have liked them. I just keep them within the level. Make the highest level the gyms can be the top level of the Pokemon you can train without them stopping obeying you. Seems like the easiest way. It's like, oh, the next gym you can train Pokemon up to 20. Then you go in there. Whichever gym you pick has a team of level 20s.
And the way they do the story triggers, I'd imagine that's not that hard to do, because like the story triggers are based on like you go to gym 1, you get story trigger 1, you go to gym 2, you get story trigger 2, as opposed to you get a story trigger devoted to each city.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
like there's nothing like specified, so you could make it based all on the number of gyms that you have.
Yeah, my little quibble with the game is I think the cities are just kind of barren.
Yeah, well, that's been the problem ever since they swapped to like this big 3D open world stuff, though. They all feel like encampments more than they do actual cities.
But even like in all of the other games, you could at least go in most of the buildings, so it felt like at least a real place with people in it. Whereas this one, it's just like there's a gym and there's some shops, and really that's it.
I don't think I talk to like anyone outside of main characters in this game.
No, because nobody gives you anything anymore either. That's the thing. So all the items are on the floor or for beating battles.
This game made me appreciate Sword and Shield, because without Sword and Shield, I don't see how you could have jumped from what Pokemon games were to what this is.
And Legends Arceus as well.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I feel like I'm just talking about mainline games. I think you needed, and because Sword and Shield gets so much hate.
Those are good games. They're just good games. All these, like, there's very few bad Pokemon games. The ones I enjoy least are X and Y, and even then they're fine.
Yeah, I hated X and Y when I played them. I've gone back since then. I'm like, these aren't as bad as I was treating them to be.
Because they're like standard RPGs. Like the basics of the Pokemon formula, you really can't go wrong
Well,
with.
X and Y also got a lot of hate because it was the game where they made a lot of changes to be like a regular RPG, but people misconstrued that as them making it easier.
It's just like, oh, they tell you on the screen which move is super effective. It's like, how dare they not need me to have that knowledge?
And they did the actual like every other RPG thing of making everyone in your party get XP.
Which is
And everyone
fine.
everyone complained about that. But you know what? You know what I really love about these games now? The fact that I don't have to go out and fucking grind this goddamn Pidgey for an hour and a half to do anything with it, because I can just chuck it in my party for a bit and eventually it'll catch up somewhat, and then I can start putting it in battles at the front.
Yeah, and you don't even have to do the thing where you have to switch in the Pidgey at the start to get more experience and switch it back out.
And you can if you want, because you do get more XP for them being in battles. So if you want to do it that way, you can.
These people who are like, I like the inconvenience of the way Pokemon used to be. It's like, guys, stop it. Just stop.
Yeah.
Just move on.
It's like, I get it, but like another thing that I did have a problem with this game is, and I understand why, because I actually think they made this game relatively hard.
Yeah, I was under-leveled a little bit for pretty much the entire game. Like, all of the fights I had against, like, the late-game trainers, they had Pokemon slightly stronger than I did.
Yeah, I went into the ice gym like 12 levels under-leveled. Because I picked it ahead of going to like the water and the normal.
Yeah, I went because you can go 2 ways, well, 3 ways, I think, out of the first town once they get through all the tutorial nonsense. And I went the slightly harder way, so it was slightly tougher out that direction.
But like, I went into that battle at like 12 levels under level, but I had a great time trying to like strategize and win that fight. Because I was so under leveled. When I did feel like I was way too under leveled to like actually do anything, I went out and did some of the goddamn like raids. And just got a few like medium XPs. And then I leveled up my stuff to make it consistent, and I was fine.
Or you could do some of the bases, or you could do some of the legendary
I had done all the
Pokemon
bases.
nonsense.
I had done all the bases at that point except for the fighting one. And so I was like, and that area was, I like scummed my way into that area before I did the final Titan. I like flew in from the sides and got in there because I wanted to catch Bishop.
Which I appreciate. And yeah, that's what I saw people giving out about the fact that you can like climb things and Skyrim where you are up mountains. Like, no, the game wants to give you that freedom.
Yeah. They'll make it easier for you if you do the Titans, but...
Yeah, even if it leads to like weird jank, it's like, it's cool that the game tries to give you that freedom. It's not bad.
Yeah, I had a great time trying to find... I literally went into the map, looked at areas that I thought I might be able to get my way through. Spent like an hour before bed doing it, caught my Bishop just before bed. I was perfectly content with that. And then after I beat that ice gym, because that was what I did in between, I was like level up high enough to do the final Titan Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Because that last Titan Pokemon washed me over and over again.
Which one was the last one you did?
That was the water one that I forget the name.
Oh yeah, the weird dragon-y thing, fake dragon.
Yeah, the fake dragon one. Yeah, that one crushed me because I went in there at like maybe level 40, and that thing is clearly meant for like when you've done at least like 6 or 7 gyms.
I evolved a Dragonite, but then it didn't obey me. So it's like,
Well, that's the thing. I caught my Bishop. Oh, this is the hypest moment I had in the entire game. I caught my Bishop. It was at level 56 when I caught it. And was on like the 7th gym or whatever. I was doing my 8th gym, so like after that I would have had it would have started obeying me. I got down to my there was the ghost gym. I was down to like my last Pokemon. It was just Bishop, and it was just their ace Pokemon at that point. Everything else had been evened out. I went and put out Bishop. I was like, I really need you to obey me right now. It obeyed me after like not obeying me the first time and going down to like a quarter health. I click Night Slash. It finally obeys me, takes it out. I was like, and then in the cinematic moment, right then, I get the badge, so it will start obeying me.
That's nice. Your Bisharp is like, listen, he's gonna get it anyway. I should give it to him.
Exactly. And then me and Bishop, we went out there and we killed 3 other Bishops, and he evolved, and I was very happy.
Oh yeah, I saw that evolve form because the final Pokemon, the champion uses it, and I fucked it up with a close combat. So it's like, oh, what the hell is this? Oh, it's dead.
Yeah. I saw that one in one of the leaks, and I was like, I need that.
See, I avoided all the leaks, so I had the wonderful moments of like, what the fuck is that?
That was me. I had a few of those. Like, one Pokemon I really ended up enjoying a lot was Fido. Was that the evolution, or was that the...
Fido is the first form.
The second one. Once that thing evolved, I was like, oh, this Pokemon's great.
Yeah.
I love that you could change the natures of all the Pokemon now, if like through different mints and stuff you find on the ground.
And there's some world-class Pokemon names in this game, like Flamigo, because the game's based in Spain, and it's a flamingo, so it's Flamigo, which is
it's
flamingo
just a
and amigo
flamingo.
together.
It's not a Pokemon at all.
It's just an animal. And also, Mousehold is like one of the best Pokemon and the best Pokemon name of all time. Mousehold is just a sensational pun.
The English translating team had a wonderful time.
I always wonder, with a Pokemon that's called Mousehold, which is the premise, it's 4 different mice. It's a family of mice. I was like, did the name come first or the Pokemon?
That's an interesting one. Well, because what was the Japanese name first? You know what I mean?
Yeah, did you get the wordplay? I don't know. Because if it was just, we came up with a family of mice, and then somebody came up with Mousehold, that person is a fucking genius.
Yeah, whoever's on that localization team deserves a raise.
We could do more on Pokemon, and we probably will, but I guess we should get the TNA!
Yay.
Before we do, patreon.com/kiddingme is where you can go to get our extra content, including our Raintaker series, where we cover 2012 New Japan, including our Global Force Wrestling series, all of that sitting there, including all of our Monday Night Wars series sitting there, including our Ring Cat King series, all of which is sitting there, and our Wrestling Society X series, which is in progress. All of that at patreon.com/kiddingme, including watch-alongs. We have watch-alongs now of Victory Road and of Turning Point sitting there waiting for you. And we'll have more and more content coming down the road. We're coming toward the end of the year. We'll do the draft and the end-of-year awards after we do the Final Resolution episode, because I guess we do have a few more episodes of TV this year to cover. So it'll be after the next episode that we'll do the usual draft and end-of-year awards. But patreon.com/kiddingme or tnachat.com, you can go there, support the show, and get a lot more content. We're on to 4 full series you can listen to, and multiple ongoing series, and all the watch-alongs, and all our star ratings, and our show notes. And I should emphasize every time, if you're like, I don't really like the ads that are in the show, $1 tier over on Patreon, you can listen to the show ad-free with the show notes. So, all that. Patreon.com/kiddingme. tnachat.com.
Also, go to the YouTube. I feel like we should do that at the start as well, because we always leave it to the end.
Oh, the other thing that we should mention at the start, not 3 hours into the podcast, is we also have the anniversary billing turned on now. So, when you sign up is when you will get 30 days. You do not have to worry about the Patreon nonsense of signing up at the start of the month anymore. And whenever you sign up is when you'll get a month's worth of access. Which brings us to the month that is December 2004, building up to Turning Point. Just to upset you, Liam, I'm going to start with the best dams.
I mean, can we just run down both shows at the start? Because they're not really super relevant, so let's just run through the best damn night 1 and 2 and then go to the regular shows.
Yeah, well, then we'll go to the news. But TNA had 2 crossover events with the Best Damn Sports show, which was Fox Sports Net's talk show, basically their equivalent of SportsCenter, I suppose. except more like light entertainment than news, which I guess Sports Center is more light entertainment than news. But so it is their Sports Center. I'm going to stick to that comparison. So they would have a half-hour show every night, or an hour show, depends. And TNA had 2 1-hour specials with them, which were basically like more or less just 1-hour wrestling shows that also had an awful lot of antics with the Best Damn Sports Show hosts, who are John Sally, Chris Rose, Leanne Tweeden, Brian Cox, and Tom Arnold.
And they all suck.
It is a terrible glimpse back into mid-2000s like bro entertainment culture, and it's not a welcome glimpse, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, let's all harass this woman for 4 hours.
Like, yeah, the whole thing with Leanne Tweedy is she takes over Shane Douglas's role as backstage interviewer, and everybody who talks to her just sexually harasses her. That's the entire shtick.
And Dusty does like I'm a nice guy routine.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Because like she goes to interview the NYC hit on her, she's like, go away. Then Dusty comes in and is like, I'm also gonna hit on you, daddy.
It's awful.
Oh, it's bad stuff. And like Tom Arnold, who is probably like the funniest of them, also makes the most problematic jokes.
Who is a for real actual comedian.
But also he's a comedian in 2004, so he's punching down, baby.
Yeah.
There is a lot of punching. Like there is a moment where he's like outside interviewing people, and he actually has some like funny one-liners, and that's about it.
I don't care about any of this. I wish I didn't watch it, and it's stupid.
I deeply regret making Liam watch it because I think it soured him on the whole month.
I was not happy. I'll tell you that. I was not happy to be watching any of this. I'm not even happy to do the show this month. Like, you should have. If I could accurately describe how little I wanted to do this month after watching this, I don't think I have the words. I felt empty. I felt lifeless after watching this. All happiness had been sapped from my body. I didn't enjoy a second of it. Then I was kind of like glazed over with all the TVs because of it. And then we got to the pay-per-view and I was just like, thank God Garrett's here so I have someone to talk to because I hate everything.
Oh, November 10th, 2004, we had the Best Damn Wrestling Event period.
And the
Best Damn
fucking joke of calling it the Best Damn Wrestling Event. I know it's the name of your fucking show. I don't care. I'm angry.
All of the Best Damn hosts walked into Universal. Chris Rhodes was calling wrestling fake, so then Jeff Jarrett hit him with a guitar.
Ha ha ha! What a funny joke to do. I love to come and then have the wrestling fake, and then all the wrestlers, they come around and they say, hey buddy, it's not fake, and then you go ha ha, and then we all have a laugh.
A laugh is a word for it. So then we're in the Impact Zone proper as JB introduces John Sally, Chris Rose, Leanne Tweeden, Brian Cox, and Tom Arnold. Chris Rose calls wrestling faker than Michael Jackson's nose, Pamela Anderson's chest, and Tom Arnold's wife's orgasms. That's not the only Pamela Anderson joke.
Pan Am in the news.
I don't know. I think she's just famous and she has fake boobs, so they make jokes. Hope she was having a good time for herself while these creeps were far away from her.
Oh no, do not search up Pamela Anderson in a year because it's just like, look at all her naked photos. She could vote in 2004?
I'd imagine she could vote in many years.
Nah, 2004.
Okay, good for her.
Because I think she's Canadian, so she got like her American citizenship in 2004.
So do you think she voted for Dusty Rhodes or Vince Russo?
I think she voted for the show to end. She didn't have any releases in 2004. She was in the Fox sitcom Stacked in 2000. No, that was 2005. She didn't. 2004 was the 1 year she took off.
Yeah, and they're still taking pot shots at her.
What the hell? Who was she married to in 2004? She wasn't even married in 2004.
Yeah, leave this woman alone.
God, she did nothing to you. You cretins.
Yeah, so Roddy Piper interrupts. Roddy, he's a fan of all the hosts other than Chris Rose. Then he invites Rose into the pit with Roddy Piper on the following night show and slaps Rose.
Roddy Piper is insane at this point, and it's kind of cool.
He is fully like losing his mind. The man is just like ranting and raving without any coherence, but in a way that's a little more charming than the Asylum era ranting and raving without any coherence.
Well, this is Roddy Piper, you know. This is even like the Piper that we get in WWE at like the same time, you know.
Yeah, there was always the two Pipers. It's like the Piper who's like real locked in, focused. You think of that Jericho promo we did in the build up to WrestleMania 25, like that promo rocks when he has like something to sink his teeth into. Whereas here, when you just send him out there, it's like, Piper, go shout at these sports hosts. He's just like, I'm not gonna do anything but shout.
Which is funny because like I was watching the WrestleMania 21, and they did the segment with Piper and Austin, and it was like a weird hybrid of both.
Oh, you get the double-sided Piper. Wow.
Yeah, it was Piper who knew he was on a big stage, so he had to deliver. But it was unhinged NWA-TNA Piper a little bit.
It's always in there. It can come out at any moment.
He was trying his darndest to come out.
This segment continued for reasons past incomprehension. They showed footage of Monty Brown and Brian Cox's confrontation on the previous week's Best Damn. Monty came out, he cut a promo on Cox, but the Naturals jumped him. The Naturals called Monty a big, dumb football player just like Cox, and they said Cox should find a tag team partner for himself.
Oh my god, I wonder who he could possibly pick to be his tag team partner.
Yeah, for the following night it will be Brian Cox and a mystery partner facing the Naturals.
Oh, I have no clue whom it could be. Didn't like someone said it was going to be Stern at some point? They teased that.
Howard Stern finally making his TNA debut after they pitched that puppet against Beetlejuice segment.
Well, that would have made sense with the return of puppets, so.
So they went to break, they came back, and they're still in the ring. They pitch to a Victory Road recap, then they come back and they do sick burns in the things you wouldn't say to TNA wrestlers. Kid Cash, Dallas, and Team Canada were the subjects of their jokes. They came out. Trill K and AMW made the save.
Let's do our own things you wouldn't say segment, but we'll do it about Days of Thunder.
Things you wouldn't say to Dave Ryan.
Things you wouldn't say to Dave Ryan. Hey, Dave Ryan, I hate the Queen just like you. I get it, you wouldn't say it because he loves her, you see.
That is a good one. Well done.
Hey, Days of Thunder, more like Days of Plunder, because you rely on gimmicks. Got him. Fucking.
So then we have Dusty is backstage with Leanne Tweeden. She replaces Franchise. She does the segment where she interviews NYC. And then Dusty does in fact hit on her.
Hey, Dave Ryan, more like Dave crying at all the things that we have to say. Lee Malone, more like Lee all alone, because we're fucking roasted Dave.
You think we're going to get a brief oasis in this desert of nonsense when AJ Styles and Alex Shelley come to the ring.
I think I'm having a heart attack.
And they wrestle for like 90 seconds and Styles wins with a Styles clash.
Made me so upset.
Yeah, Abyss showed up, dropped him the shock treatment, chokeslammed him through a table to set up a tables match for the next night's show.
He's just protecting his baby bear.
That's true. He's a fan of his old pal, Alex Shelley. Goldilocks is gone, but their connection isn't. Even though they hated each other.
His friend, Alex Shelley.
They counted down the top 5 moments in TNA history on this episode.
Yeah, let's rank them.
And the moments they chose were quite interesting. So there was Brian Urlacher killing Johnny Fairplay.
Sure. They're all fucking stupid celebrity bullshit.
That was going to be my point. There's no like Triple X AMW. There's no Raven debuts.
No one watching that show knows who they are.
But that's the point, isn't it? Like to introduce
they're doing
those
like,
guys.
Hey, look at all these cool celebrities we have on our shows. You should watch us. We're so major league.
But shouldn't there be a little bit of both? I guess there is a little bit of both because like AMW do wrestle, Style does wrestle, Killings does wrestle. They do introduce the wrestlers in the wrestling matches, and then they're like, "Hey, what about that time Jarrett attacked Hogan?"
They're like, "Hey, it's a fucking country fella who sang about 9/11."
Yeah, number 3 was the Titans, number 2 was Chris Rock, and number 1 was
I remember the
DDP.
Titans. I'm on fire. I'm on fire today. You know about remember the Titans, Garrett?
Tom Arnold is
You know,
checking
I remember
Tio
the
for
Titans
weapons.
2000
He then
film
proposes that Tio uses kids' toys.
starring
which
Denzel Washington.
That's a joke, you see. He's using kids' toys because it's Tio.
Ryan Gosling was in it.
Leanne has Johnny B. Bad backstage. Even Johnny B. Bad hips on her.
$136 million at the box office.
I don't know why Johnny B. Bad is there to hype up Ultimate X, but that's what he was being interviewed for.
Because the natural order of Ultimate X goes Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Johnny B. Bad, AJ Styles.
That is the progression of wrestlers in wrestling history.
Yeah.
AMW wrestled Kid Cash in Dallas. They actually had a nice little match.
Shut up.
There were 2 good matches on this show. Like, the Ultimate X was a good match too. But listen, it's a good match.
Did you know that the filming locations for Remember the Titans?
I haven't even seen this film, so shut up about Remember
How
the
have you not
Titans.
seen Remember the Titans?
Because what, you said it made like $140 million. A lot of people haven't seen Remember the Titans, I'll have you know.
It made $140 million in 2000. Let me do a conversion.
Lord of the Rings made like $1 billion. At that
Oh,
stage,
Lord
so
of
you
the
shut up.
Rings. Fucking nerd. I've never seen Lord of the Rings in my life, and I never will. You're not helping me out here at all.
Nope, I'm gonna leave you flounder about Remember the Titans.
1, 3, 7. 1, 2, 3.
You have 6 zeros for $1 million, 7 for tens of millions, 8 for hundreds of millions.
Yeah, I think that's right. Let's calculate. Boop, 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 boop. That's like... fuck. 1 more 0. No, I lost it!
Harris
Why is this
pinned
happening
Kid
to
Cash
me? What
with
have I
a
done to
spear
deserve this fate?
after Brian Cox helped AMW, which moves us on to a trio tag.
$237 million, Garrett.
That's not even as much money as Black Adam made, and Black
On
Adam
a
was a
$30
flop.
million budget.
Again, we're not talking about profitability. We're talking about people actually seeing this movie.
It won many an award. How many awards did Black Adam win?
We're not in award seasons yet, so
Exactly,
who can possibly
shut
know?
up. It has an average score of 6.3 out of 10.
Tree Life Crew had a game of horse with John Sally.
Yeah, whatever.
Tell me all about this game of horse they had, Liam.
I think Shark Boy was there.
He was.
That's cool.
Like, you would think doing a game of basketball with Shark Boy and D-Ray and Tree Life Crew, there's at least some jokes there. They somehow didn't tell any.
The joke should have been that Shark Boy was the best basketball player on the court.
Yeah, because they did the big build-up that, like, Shark Boy was there to take the final shot. And the joke should have been, you're right, that Shark Boy is there, everyone's like, it's Shark Boy, he's gonna miss. And then Shark Boy hits, like, a half-court shot, and now he's the biggest basketball player in the history of existence.
Yeah. He has, like, Jordans, but they're Sharkins. That don't make any sense. Quick, think of something. Think of something better. Go.
The Sharks. He
All
plays
right,
for the San Jose Sharks. I think they're a
For a
hockey
team?
team.
We know so much about American sports.
Yeah, the bit that they do was BG was terrible, and then Conan sank his shot. So at least there's that. They're dunking a little on BG.
Yep.
Mike Tenay and Tom West were there with Tom Arnold and Chris Rose.
I've brought real third hour vibes to this best damn wrestling event period review.
They were talking about what makes TNA special. Mike Tenay was like, you know, there's really the X Division. And then Tom Arnold starts talking about hot chicks.
You think you're special, special.
Jeff Hammond, 6 points of impact with Jarrett. Daniels faced Kazarian. Daniels hit the best damn moonsault ever. Tracy distracted the referee. Shane's interference then backfired, allowing Daniels to hit the end to win. Why he couldn't just win with his move then? Who could possibly say? Let's speed up this review of Best Damn. John Sally did the basketball thing. Jeff Jarrett was attacked by the Titans. Remember the Titans? Tom Arnold was talking to TNA refs about his hardcore match. He was perhaps a little bit problematic. Raven lost to Ron Killings in a terrible wrestling match. TNA did tease that there will be another big debut on Impact. Rolled up Raven out of the Raven effect for the win. Puppet brawls with Tom Arnold backstage because he wants to kill him. He is all of us. We did have the return of Puppet. We should focus some time on the return of Puppet. Tio defeated Puppet with Tom Arnold as special referee.
We had the return of Tio as well.
That's true. Do you think the reason they didn't bring back Goldilocks was because they knew they were bringing back Puppet, and obviously they can't work together?
Yeah, there's heat.
So Tom Arnold interfered on Tio's behalf, leading to Tio hitting Puppet with, I believe, a scale, as Arnold counted with a microphone on Puppet's face. which was very rude of him. And also, they're meant to be baby faces here. Puppet's meant to be the heel, beating up these guys as they're teaming up on them 2-on-1.
I didn't get that vibe at all. I thought for sure that like Puppet was meant to be the babyface.
Which means he should have triumphed over all of these guys, teaming up on the poor guy.
Tom Arnold looks strong.
And then main event, Chris Sabin defeated Sanjay Dutt and Elix Skipper in an Ultimate X match.
This is the saddest match I've ever seen.
Why?
Because this was on this show.
It was a good match, to be fair.
It was truly pathetic. I hated every second of it.
They did go out there and had like just a 6-minute Ultimate X sprint.
Which makes it more upsetting. It made it worse that they like tried.
This show didn't deserve their effort.
You know who I fucking came out of this having much more respect for?
Who?
Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Because they said fuck you to being on this.
Well, it was taped before they debuted, but sure.
I don't care. They still could have done it. They could have done a backstage segment.
By the way, when Puppet came out, no reaction. The Impact Zone are fake fans.
Yeah, they don't know anything about. That's why that was the Eric Watts problem, we call it.
So this match was actually for something. The winner would face P.D. Williams at Turning Point for the X Division title. Sabin won.
P.D. Williams is an amazing athlete.
Which brings us the Best Damn Sports Wrestling Event Night 2, November 11th. They did 2 nights of this.
Why? Why did they do a second night of this?
This was like, it's such a good show. It's such a good
Why
idea.
do they
We need
hate
2
me?
whole hours. So Tom Arnold roasted Puppet, roasted in exclamation points. Roddy Piper came out here with live bagpipes. He's hosting Chris Rhodes on the In the Pit with Roddy Piper. Rhodes was wearing the Terry Taylor / Bobby Roode / Scott D'Amore robe. We had the TNA return of Johnny Fairplay.
And I like how they both like shit on him. And it makes it even funnier because like Johnny Fairplay was like Roddy Piper's whipping boy.
Yeah, remember when they were like talking about doing an angle with Piper and Fairplay that was going to be Piper's big feud and Fairplay's big feud, and instead this is all they ever do. He comes out in this Best Damn segment.
I also like that apparently like this is meant to be like the big Rose face turn. But he's still like a giant piece of shit. He got no comeuppance.
Yeah, so Fairplay comes out. He calls himself the biggest star in the history of reality. Do you get it, Liam?
Yeah, it's like reality television.
He's very funny. Then Piper sprayed him with a fire extinguisher, and then Rose gave him a body slam. Not a very good body slam either. Brian Cox, a much better wrestler than Chris Rose.
Yeah, but like Chris Rose has to like get him up, but also he's working with Johnny Fairplay.
Do you think Well, listen, I've seen Johnny Fairplay take the sickest powerbomb of all time from AJ Styles. So
Yeah, but that's AJ Styles doing it.
I have faith. Brian Urlacher, non-wrestler, hit a damn good press slam on Johnny Fairplay. I have faith.
Again, you're talking about people who actually have like muscle on their frame.
I have faith in Johnny Fairplay's ability to take bumps. So this is all on Chris Rose.
But anyway, yeah, this sucked, and Chris Rose is annoying as shit. But one thing I'll give Chris Rose credit is somehow out of all of them, he was by far the best host.
Oh, what do you have against the rest of them?
They all sucked. They're all fucking annoying. They're all terrible hosts. They're not funny. I hate all of them. Chris Rose is the only one who looks like he's ever actually been on a camera before.
To be fair, his job is literally just host.
Yeah. And he's the one who actually looks like he should be on camera. It's a shame he's doing a terrible gimmick.
Because all the rest are former sports stars who are now hosts, or Tom Arnold in his case, a comedian who's now a host.
Tom Arnold.
Listen, Leanne Tweedy's a perfectly fine host too.
She was fine. She didn't do anything. They got her out of there pretty quickly compared to everyone else.
Yeah, so after the power slam, Piper sprayed Rose with a fire extinguisher, which, as we mentioned last month, he went to business for himself, and they very quickly cut away here when he started spraying with the fire extinguisher.
Mm-hmm.
Leanne has Team Canada. D'Amore's upset about her attire as a journalist. It's like Americans these days. He's going after John Sally. We had 3 live crew against Team Canada, and they captured the flag match. BG got the flag. They won. We ran down the top 5 finishers in TNA history. 5 Canadian Destroyer, 4 Styles Clash. I think I forgot to write down what 3 was, but I'm just going to guess it was the Pounce. 2 was the Swanton, and of course the best finisher in TNA history is the Stroke.
I don't even disagree.
On that list of all those other moves I named, you would put the Stroke as number 1.
Yeah.
I guess it's probably beaten the most people.
Yeah, exactly. The most winningest.
That's what they counted here. Tom Arnold interviewed a bunch of people, a bunch of fans, made some jokes, mostly at Hulk Hogan's expense. Brian Cox was backstage teasing who his mystery partner would be. You had AJ and Abyss in a tables match. AJ would have won with a sunset flip powerbomb through a table. Cool. Leanne had Tom. He said many things, many of which I cannot repeat on the show for fear of being cancelled. Leanne talked to Puppet. He's not pleased that she stooped to interview him. Puppet's like, don't do that. Which is, like,
fair, by the way.
Yeah, he's like, don't patronize me, bitch.
Yeah.
He goes to threaten Leanne, but Franchise came back. He then had the Tom Arnold versus Puppet match. Puppet's here. Puppet's
Puppet
back.
is here.
So the T.O. came out, hit a swanton, then T.O. pinned Puppet, even though he's not in the match.
Listen, what do you want?
I want consistency and I want rules.
Out of the best damn wrestling event period, night 2.
Yes, is it so much to ask to get consistency and rules?
Yes. Have you seen the show?
They showed the Still to Come feature, which was actually from the night before. They fucked up. They showed taped like a week in advance, by the way, so they had plenty of time to fix that. Petey Williams defeated Jarrell Clark, Michael Shane, Shark Boy, Sanjay Dutt. Brian Cox and Monty Brown defeated the Naturals. Cox actually, for a non-wrestler, looked pretty good.
I barely paid attention at this point. My brain was turned off.
He hit a power slam. He locked Douglas in the figure 4. Monty hit Stevens with the pounce, and Cox gets the win. Oh yeah, Monty's the mystery partner, by the way.
You know, like, as I was watching this show at this point, I think I blacked out and I started seeing red, and I'm only just remembering it now.
No, Amazing Red wasn't in the X Division match.
Ha ha ha!
They really ruined. Not that it was a surprise.
Remember the Titans?
Brian Cox came out to Monty Brown's music, and they just didn't acknowledge it. And then Monty Brown came out to Monty Brown's music, and they're like, "Whoa, mystery partner's Monty!"
Ooh,
Leanne had Lex Luger backstage for some reason. They were meant to be talking about the Six Sides of Steel main event, but he kept talking about himself. Then posed shirtless in a further sexual harassment suit that I'm sure she filed immediately after.
Sounds like Lex Luger.
And our main event, inside Six Sides of Steel, you have Jeff Jarrett against Jeff Hardy. Jeff squared, face off once again. Dusty was on commentary, the highlight of which was when Jeff Hardy pulled his shirt off to go for the swanton. Dusty shouted, "He's getting naked!"
That's a good line. Imagine if Jeff Hardy won this.
He probably just should have, right?
Yeah, there's no title on the line.
It's non-title, it's broadly non-canon. Just put Jeff Hardy over. You beat him 1,000,000 times. You could say he beat him in the build-up to the Turning Point match at least. Like, just have a Jeff Hardy win this match.
Damn you, Jeff Jarrett.
Just beating Hardy
Put
again.
Put someone over.
Oh, well, he will put someone over later this month.
Put Darby over.
Hardy kicked out of the stroke. It went for the swanton off the cage, but missed. And then Jarrett hit Hardy with a chain and won. Styles hit a crossbody off the cage then to end the show.
Woo! Let's never talk about or acknowledge those shows ever again.
We will have to. Actually, no, we'll mention it here. They were trying, hopefully, to get really good ratings, so that Fox Sports will either do this regularly, fucking God forbid, or at least give them a better TV spot. And the ratings were a 0.26 and a 0.17 respectively for each show. And the show usually does about like a 0.15. So first night, modest success. Second night, a completely average rating for the show. So they never did it again. God bless.
So perhaps if they didn't like blow their load and do 2 shows, they might have actually had a chance of doing it again next year.
Yeah, it might have come across as, a 0.26. That's near, not quite double, but close-ish to double what the show usually does in this time slot. So that's a good success story until they did it again. And it's like, nope, there was one night of this, and that's it.
But like, it also probably would have done well if you had just made it a yearly thing.
Also, when you consider the second night was probably like the bigger of the cards. It had Brian Cox wrestling. It had the Six Sides of Steel cage match. It also had a lot of stuff on the first night building to the second night. And then a shitload of people didn't come back.
I feel like you could have just built all that all on the same show, and you would have had a show that was more appealing to their fan group too. Like, if you had have built to, like, the Brian Cox match, and you had have built to the Tom Arnold, like, getting in the ring thing, and just done them both in, like, angles, building up into that show, I think that audience of that show would have enjoyed it a lot more.
They're like, I'm not coming back tomorrow. I've had enough of this.
Why would they?
Well, that's the best damn sports shows. Which we can now never mention again.
Fuck off and die.
That brings us to the news, starting with Cookiegate.
That's our new news segment that we're going to do. We have a little interlude.
Yeah, it's actually, Liam plays that himself with 17 different instruments.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I have a whole ensemble back here. I didn't get to the choir, but...
He hired a whole orchestra just for that musical stinger.
Yeah, it's the people who did the Judas entrance that one time.
That's where your Patreon money is going to, at patreon.com/kiddingme.
And I had to just kick him out because we didn't get there in time.
On November 10th, several WWE wrestlers happened to be at Universal Studios, home of TNA's weekly Impact tapings, to film a commercial. TNA, as a publicity stunt labeled as a friendly greeting, had several TNA wrestlers bring the WWE wrestlers cookies and balloons. WWE is now threatening to sue TNA unless they agree to never air the footage and relinquish the footage.
That's rude of them. They were being very nice, welcoming them to their home arena.
Yeah, it's very kind of them. It's like, you know, we are the holders of Universal Studios and you were coming to visit to shoot your apparently obscenely expensive Royal Rumble commercial.
I'm sure when TNA runs MSG, WWE will send out the same bandwagon.
And I'm sure WWE have never done any kind of stunt where they sent wrestlers to another company's building and then cried foul when that company threatened legal action. That would never
Garrett,
happen.
I'm pretty sure they did do that and it ended the Monday Night Wars forever.
Yeah, so that's why WWE threatened legal action here, because they knew this instance would end them to forever.
Yeah. They knew that, like, oh my god, they worked out the strategy of how to win every single ratings war.
So WWE were there shooting the West Side Story Royal Rumble commercial. Randy Orton, Luther Reigns, Jesus, Jericho, Benoit were all there. They made a whole publicity stunt about it. WWE filed a formal letter of complaint with Universal Studios. A senior WWE official sent a production assistant to TNA Soundstage 21 and delivered a verbal warning that if any WWE wrestlers were filmed by TNA, we will sue your fucking ass.
That Royal Rumble commercial is so good.
Yeah, clearly TNA inspired them. They saw Abyss with his balloons, and they saw Tracy with her cookies, and they're like, we got to do the best commercial we've ever done in our lives.
They should do something more like that. They have all the money in the world. Just make like a full Marvel movie.
Because apparently, like, Dave estimates that commercial cost like $400,000 to $500,000, which is insane when you think about it. But also, you're a $1 billion company; just do it for fun.
Yeah, especially now. Who do you think signed off on that one? Who had that idea? Do you think Vince just watched West Side Story and was like, wait a minute?
He's finally caught up to West Side Story in his watching of media. You know he's like 20, 30 years behind at all times.
Because, like, 2005 was, like, their, like, movie parody year. Because they did, like, all the Mania ones, too.
The WrestleMania's going Hollywood stuff.
Yeah, so, like, end of 2004, did Vince finally discover movies?
Apparently. He's like, this newfangled technology they're showing. They have the trains coming toward the screen.
No, he's like, you know, they're not in black and white and they don't have sound anymore.
Oh, they're even in color.
You can actually hear them. I don't know why Vince, in our impressions, is talking like a 1920s radio man.
TNA released a press release saying, in response to media reports about a misunderstanding that occurred at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida this past Wednesday, TNA Entertainment issued an apology to Vince McMahon and WWE for what was apparently mistakenly perceived as a hostile act. In the press release, Shane Douglas stated, I was disheartened. If our kind gesture was mistakenly perceived as threatening and hostile, we apologize. BG James said, personally, I just wanted some mahi-mahi. The only thing I had to eat that day was a stinking cold sandwich from my cheap freelance producer. Now, I know how the other half eats.
You were there in, like, all of the 90s. You know how they eat.
You know they have surprisingly good catering.
You know that's, like, the main takeaway that everyone has from their experience there.
The press release said the silent Abyss was seen with a tear in his eye, still clutching the very same balloons that no one from WWE wanted.
I love that they're, like, shitting on them in their own press release.
TNA concluded the press release. Some things in life are consistent. Success breeds envy. The bully always picks on the little guy. But we all know how the story of David and Goliath ends.
And isn't it crazy how now in 2022 Impact is the biggest company in the world and WWE's dead?
It did end exactly as David versus Goliath, where Shark Boy shot like a slingshot into the eyes of the Big Show, and WWE fell forever.
Shark Boy sent an email to the press about Vince McMahon's sordid history, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, so when they got there, like David Sahadi was the person who found out they were there, apparently, because obviously he has, I assume, connections still in the WWE production department at this stage, so he found out they were there, brought down some wrestlers to film this. When WWE threatened legal action, like they called up Bob Carter, apparently, and he's like, nah, film, and I'll back you no matter what. Because there was a whole thing this month then where Mike Tenay and Don West stated that on commentary, it's like, WWE sent us a legal letter and we have this footage we shot there, and now we're going to let you decide if we show it or not at Turning Point. So you go to the website and vote on whether or not we will show the Cookiegate footage. And they're like, WWE are like, no, don't show it, send us to us. And Bob Carter's just like, if they sue us, we have lawyers too.
That's big Tony Khan. I have a lot more money than Jim Crockett. The vibe there.
Bob. So they did eventually show it on the pay-per-view. It's like, when you see the footage, it does make WWE look exceptionally stupid because it's the most harmless thing in the world.
It's such an easy little prank.
It is like the ultimate of like, don't sell the rib. It's like, guys, you sold the rib as much as you could possibly sell the rib.
I'm reading like a bit more about like what went on, and I think like my favorite one there is that they saw that Vince was out there by himself.
Yeah,
and they were like, "Should we go like film something?" But they're all such cowards that they didn't.
Yeah, so like Vince was there, they saw him, they like huddled, and then they like apparently they did decide we should go film something, but then Vince never came back.
That would have been perfect. Imagine that world. In a just world, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall would have agreed to be a part of it instead of turning down the request. And Vince would have been there and Nash would have gone up to Vince.
Yeah, because they did ask Hall and Nash to be in this one, but Hall and Nash were like, nah.
They want jobs still.
That is true. The two people that were shown, like you could make them out, there was Luther Reigns and there was Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio more obviously evident than Luther Reigns.
Ray didn't give a shit. He's like, they're not gonna fire me.
Yeah, even BG like makes a little quip. It's like, you're fired. And Ray just laughs and chuckles. Because like Conan's Ray's boy, so I'd imagine he's like coming out to chat with Conan.
Yeah, I think Conan probably just like texted him.
It's like, listen, we need someone out here to make us look cool, that we actually got somebody to show up. And this is Rey Mysterio's only TNA appearance. So there you go.
So, yeah, I think they kind of wanted like a confrontation, but like the guys that they ended up talking to are apparently like Jericho, Guerrero, Benoit, Mysterio, and they were just like friendly.
And like the only other people on camera were like production assistants. And Luther Reigns.
Luther Reigns.
Also his only TNA appearance, I believe.
This is fun. This is a fun segment.
Yeah, it's a good bit. It's good antics. I'm on board with it.
I love TNA as an antics promotion above all else.
And they did a bunch of skits on the pay-per-view where they had a fake Vince and a fake Triple H try to invade Turning Point to steal the tape back.
It's perfect.
The fake Vince played by Brian Welch, one of the office workers, and the fake Triple H played by Johnny Devine.
Yeah. So that's who it was. Big Johnny Devine. Who was Vince?
Brian Welch, an office worker.
He had great mannerisms.
I enjoyed Johnny Devine's Triple H as well. He had a better voice impression than the Vince.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I love that shit.
Do you think they walked around backstage being like, do a Triple H impression? Nah. Do a Triple H impression? Nah. Johnny Devine's like,
but
game!
I like to imagine once they were in costume, I hope they acted like Vince and Triple H the whole day.
Because yeah, they arrive at the show, they see Mikey Batts, Vince tries to fire Mikey Batts. Then they see a production assistant with a tape. He smashes the tape, and it turns out it's just the best of D-Ray 3000. This is a bunch of skits. It's good stuff. It's good, again, good antics. Well done, TNA.
I like to imagine everyone's seen this at this point, but maybe it is a little gem.
Yeah, because like it's on one of the early pay-per-views as well. It's not like Spike era, so I think a lot of the stuff pre-Spike is stuff that just flies under the radar, and people forget about this kind of stuff.
I've seen this because it was on like the 50 best TNA moments DVD.
Yeah, with your Toby Keith moments and your Tennessee Titan moments. Remember the Titans?
I do. I remember those Titans.
I don't. I haven't seen the movie.
Hey Garrett, when we just remind everyone when they are playing Pokemon, you know, and they're doing their gym leader challenges and they're running around and they're doing the Team Star stuff, that they also have to remember the Titans.
Ah, yes, it's very important. Jeff Jarrett hosted a party for roughly 30 wrestlers and friends in his hotel room following the Victory Road pay-per-view.
I bet he did.
Kevin Nash attended the party and spent a ton of time telling Jarrett and others that he and Hall were back to stick it up Vince McMahon's ass. Nash also said that while he, Hall, and Jarrett would make a lot of money, there would also be plenty left over for other wrestlers.
I love Kevin Nash so much.
A number of wrestlers who were originally hoping that Hall and Nash would spearhead a power struggle with Jarrett are now bickering because Hall and Nash are featured so prominently with Jarrett. Hall has told friends that he signed a contract for 8 appearances. After the Impact taping, he made a point of saying, 2 down.
What else are you going to do, Scott Hall?
Says one frustrated TNA wrestler, this place has turned into WCW all over again, except it's Hall, Nash, and Jarrett instead of Hall, Nash, and Hogan.
The only time Jeff has ever been compared to Hulk Hogan.
On the topic of the Hulkster, the word on Hulk Hogan is that he doesn't trust Jeff, but is tight with Jerry, who is a long-time good friend of Jimmy Hart, Hogan's closest ally in the business. There was no sign of Hogan at the following week's tapings after Victory Road, nor any mentions of him. And apparently Hogan is leaning against working for TNA, according to a source with knowledge of the situation. If he decides to join the company, it would be likely as a commissioner type rather than as a wrestler. This would be one way for Hogan to feel out the company before agreeing to actually wrestle for them. However, he has told people that he considers TNA to be worse off than WCW was during its dying days. Well, that's obvious. WCW was still on TNT and TBS in its dying days.
WCW was still on major networks and was doing a lot of numbers.
Whereas TNA is on FSN with like 150,000 people watching every week. So Hogan apparently not coming in, and if he was to come in, he would be a commissioner, but it's very, very unlikely that TNA would pay Hulk Hogan money for Hulk Hogan just doing a commissioner role.
Yeah, that would never happen.
Never, ever, ever. So our big power struggle comes to a head this month. In reaction to continued rumors of dissension between Jerry and Jeff Jarrett, Dixie Carter had a long talk with them at Tuesday's TV taping. This was in the middle of the month. It is not unusual to see Jeff or Jerry meet with Dixie, but it is unusual for all three to meet together at once. The discussion lasted well over an hour. Carter also had a long talk with other office workers, perhaps in part trying to find out the source of some of the rumors about political infighting in TNA. Dixie, who by the way is 8 months pregnant at this stage, is like wandering around backstage being like, who is leaking all of this shit?
Like, imagine being Dixie and having to be a part of this like family feud. So ridiculous.
Again, 8 months pregnant and you're stuck between petty wrestling bullshit.
It's kind of a miracle that she stuck around so long.
That was Russo's point. It's like, once she has the kid, she's out of this. She can't possibly give a fuck about this nonsense when she has an actual thing to care about.
Yeah, well, joke's on him.
There were no major changes at that taping. Dutch Mantel and Jeremy Borsch were handling most of the bookings, with Jarrett in the Stephanie McMahon role of overseeing and supervising the whole operation, with Terry Taylor in the truck and Dusty just being a talent. Jeff Jarrett had confronted Jerry last Tuesday about word he was getting about Jerry trying to oust him from power.
So this next line, this quote, Jerry Jarrett, fuck you. You piece of garbage.
You can make an argument before we read what the next line is. You can make an argument that Jerry is intervening for the long-term sake of the company.
Oh, I'm doing a big old jack-off side right now.
Because the company is burning money at a historic rate and the Carters aren't happy. However, the next line, Jerry sees this as a great time to steal power as Jeff is tending to his wife whose cancer has come back.
That is your daughter-in-law, you fucking rat.
Bad. Also, if the company goes under, who gives a fuck? Surely family should be more important.
It's your fucking daughter-in-law, you dog.
Especially when you think about, it's not even their money anymore. If it was their money, it would still be a real problem.
Sure, it's like the family business failing.
Yeah, they still own a percentage of the company, so I guess they do have a financial stake. But it's the Carters' money now. So, like, who gives a fuck?
Also, Jerry, you got your fucking, like, real estate or whatever the hell business, your car, whatever the fuck it was.
He works in real estate.
You're fine.
The feeling is that Jerry doesn't believe in the office staff that Jeff has assembled, and that's been one of the big talking points. TNA has an office staff filled with guys who should not be running an office, says one TNA source. For months, Jerry Jarrett has been dropping details into conversations with people about the changes he'd make if he gained power, so the rumors last week of him making a power play came as no surprise to many within TNA. So we do have the big change, middle of the month, that is starting from November 19th. Dusty Rhodes does replace Jeff Jarrett as head booker of TNA.
I like how this comes off. Dusty has no booking power, he's just the talent.
He's just hanging around, chilling out. Oh no, Dusty's head booker.
It's amazing. I like... This is... The great thing about TNA at this point is it's truly a combatant of two people who don't lose.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing it's Jeff Jarrett and it's Dusty Rhodes, and they're both fighting for the title of King of Not Losing in this business.
And it turns out for now, Dusty Rhodes is winning. I will say, I didn't remember the exact date Dusty took over. I knew it was sometime this month. But I was watching the Impact that has Scott Hall and AJ Styles in the main event. It's like, Dusty's taken over.
Yeah. I think it was actually the week before that he took over. But you can tell. It feels like a real wrestling show.
Yeah, you can see it's like stuff suddenly starts happening on Impact, a show where famously nothing happens. It's like, oh, you get Styles and Hall in the main event, and the next week you get Jarrett and Monty in the main event, and then it's all of a sudden, oh yeah, we have a new booker now, for sure.
We have allegedly entered the good era?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Let's see how that goes.
Dusty told the wrestlers that he has a different vision for TNA's booking than Jeff Jarrett, and he would begin to implement changes over the next few tapings, though he didn't get specific about what the changes would be. In a thing that ruffled a lot of wrestlers the wrong way, he did tell the wrestlers that they need to show respect for Scott Hall and Kevin Nash because of what they have done in their careers and for the rub they're giving the company. Apparently a lot of the no-name wrestlers were like, blah, 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 blah.
I'm Mikey Bats. I'm so sad that I have to show respect to Scott Hall. But it must be nice to be Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and just be able to like walk into any company and be jerked off so thoroughly.
You command or demand respect, not just command it. You do demand it.
Because you got to be in a group with Hulk Hogan.
Not everyone welcomed that comment with open arms. Actually, you know what? I can't let that stand.
I said it specifically to get a reaction.
To be fair to Hall and Nash, they made Hogan cool, not the other way around. It's like, if it was just Hogan turning heel without like the coolness that Hall and Nash brought next to him, that thing flops. It's just a Hulk Hogan heel turn. Who gives a shit? But Hall and Nash were cool.
Well, Hall and Nash aren't in the Wrestling Is Over Hall of Fame, so shut up, Garrett.
I nearly didn't give you your thing. I nearly just moved right on.
I was giddy when you were like, wait a minute.
Not everyone welcomed that comment about them needing to welcome Hall and Nash and be happy.
Not everyone on this podcast welcomed that comment from Liam about Hulk Hogan being the reason they were popular.
Considering some TNA regulars aren't pleased with how Hall and Nash seem to treat TNA as a joke during their on-air commentary, it's actually quite funny, so shut up.
Yeah, it's actually great.
Nash does not give a single fuck this month, and it is quite amusing.
One of my favorite lines from Nash this whole month was when he was introducing the Kings of Wrestling name.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just said it like, and we've got a new group, and the new group is the Kings of Wrestling, and we're here to take over, and we're going to take over this company. He said it exactly like that. There was no passion or emotion in his voice. He was just saying the lines.
If you go back and listen to me earlier recapping the Best Damn Sports Show...
Which, why would you?
Nash said the name of his stable with the exact same amount of enthusiasm.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, he's just leaning on the ropes 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, every little bit of in-ring action, he's been, like, bumping around, so...
He's only working once a month, so he's like, yeah, I'll take a bump or two.
Yeah. When AJ does a run-in, he'll bump for him. He won't give a bump for free, though.
We'll talk about all that when we get to the shows. There's a lot of Nash antics. It's very fun. Dusty and Agent Jerry Lynn met separately later with the X Division wrestlers, explaining to them that he feels their characters have been underdeveloped and he wanted to change that. He told them that they are great athletes, but he wanted them to slow down and tell better stories in their matches.
Suck a dick.
He said that was their role, and his role would be to give them more character development and promo time to get over.
I mean, that's fair. Like, they do need more character time, but don't slow down. You're the only interesting thing on these shows.
He said if they can't get over, he'll shake their hand for giving it a try, but let them go.
Jesus.
Dusty's ruthless.
Yeah, Dusty's cutting the Eric Bischoff. If you don't want to be here, go, bro.
That was apparently like what the actual comparison was. Is people were like, some people took it well, and some people took it like a big Dusty rah-rah speech to let's kick it on to another level, and some people were like, geez, the ego on this guy.
I mean, it's Dusty Rhodes, though, you know?
Dutch Mantel remains Dusty's booking assistant, although he will probably have less influence over booking matters with Dusty than he did working with Jeff Jarrett.
Good.
Jeff Jarrett was said to be in good spirits, although he fought for the booking job. Once it was taken from him, he seemed to realize a big weight had been lifted from his shoulders.
See, that's what I'm interested, because, like, you obviously know the answer to this, but I don't. I'm interested to see in how Jarrett's role changes with someone else in charge of booking.
Because this is the last time until 2017 that Jarrett basically has the book.
Yeah, which is, like, kind of a momentous occasion that we've reached.
Because he always has influence. He's always in the room. But this is the last time that it's like Jeff Jarrett had control of creative until he's brought back in 2017 for like 3 or 4 months. So people think of like him as, or think of TNA as like his product. It was only really his product for about a year, because it was Jerry's mostly at the start.
Russo.
Then you had kind of like the Russo influence on the team. And then basically from like October 2003 to November 2004, it was Jarrett's creative vision. And that's the period where it stunk. But
that sucked.
Yeah.
So, like, if you still want to, like, criticize it and criticize him as a booker, like, I get it. But, you know, relative to the company's existence, it was a very short time.
So only for about a year, and if you include the 2017 stuff, about a year and a half of the company's 20-year history was, like, Jeff Jarrett's creative vision.
Does, like, Scott D'Amore have more booking, like, credit to his name at this point?
Yes, absolutely.
So there you go. It's like, there's a bunch of people who have technically had more influence on the booking of TNA than Jeff Jarrett.
Even like Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, Hogan.
For better and worse. Mostly worse.
Well, like, listen, you want to insult Jeff Jarrett's booking, at least Jarrett, it didn't fucking immediately, like, sink it. Because Hogan and Bischoff came in and...
Rhodes didn't make many friends via his first meeting with the wrestlers. A number of wrestlers were insulted by the way Rhodes put over Hall, Nash, and Savage as the reasons viewers ordered the pay-per-view.
This is like when fucking Kid Cash is complaining about AJ Styles getting money.
We're going to have some things to say about BG James later in the show, trust me.
Oh, I'm ready. I just cracked my knuckles, like, instinctively, because we're talking about BG James.
One wrestler pointed out that Savage wasn't even advertised for the pay-per-view, and that they noted wrestlers such as Jeff Hardy, Raven, and BG James and other members of the roster also sold their share of pay-per-views.
Oh, well, some of those people did, yeah.
Rhodes' new philosophy is to run fewer matches on TV and make the matches longer, and try to slow down the X Division matches with the old make the spots mean more ideas.
I don't agree with the X Division stuff, but I do agree with less matches on these shows.
Some of them, on this 1 hour Impact, have 6 matches.
Yeah, like, let things breathe a little bit.
There's a bunch of matches that just end up going 90 seconds.
It's the Dynamite problem. Just, like, let things breathe a bit. Give space, because it inherently will make things feel more important.
He also emphasized letting guys have more interview time, and that the guys who can't pick up the slack on their interviews will eventually be replaced by those who can.
Yeah, well, Dusty's definitely... A Dusty booked promotion is definitely going to have emphasis on the promos.
The positive is a lot of wrestlers know that there will be long-term angles. Apparently Dusty planned out his first 6 months in advance. So hopefully, knowing where they're going, they can tell the stories, as opposed to the past where the top guy may have 2 or 3 weeks of knowledge of where they're going, but most everyone else didn't know until they showed up at TV.
Well, it's definitely an interesting time
in
TNA, and I'm cautiously optimistic about the next month.
Like, realistically, I think anybody who listened to this show for the last year of this show covering stuff
knows how much we hated it.
knows that we haven't been particularly hot on Jeff Jarrett as a booker. So, any change to that, thumbs up.
Like, we would have been as excited about the idea of Russo getting full control to show you how little we loved the Jeff Jarrett era.
Yeah, literally, we kind of baby-faced Vince Russo on the way out, just based on how bad the Jarrett and Mantell reign was.
Which is, like, insane.
Which again, Dutch Mantel's another one of those annoying cunts who keeps on tweeting.
Oh my god. Did you see that he, like, he either learned how to rip off someone's video or he paid someone to make an AEW botching like highlight reel. And I don't know which version is sadder.
Like, we watched this year of television that you didn't have the book, you were booking assistant to Jarrett, but it fucking stunk. So you go away.
Yeah. I just want to like add Detrimental and say 2014 they sucked. Detrimental's tweeting about Teddy Hart.
Have you watched that documentary?
Not yet. I probably will.
TNA announced on Tuesday a decision to cut back its TV taping schedule to every other week in Orlando, Florida, saving up to $100,000 per month as a result. This is one of those things where it's like Jerry gets control and cuts back from a TV taping a week to the TV taping every 2 weeks, and it's like, you were really going down there to Orlando to tape an hour of TV every week? What is wrong with you?
Yeah. I don't know. That seems a lot.
Because I think at one stage they tape the entire pay-per-view cycle in 2 days, which is like, yes, do that.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Going down there, flying everybody, because they'll still be paying people for working twice. So if they like wrestle 2 matches on the show, they'll get paid for 2 matches.
That's good.
What they are saving is like flying everybody down and setting up production every single week. That cuts. If you do that every 2 weeks instead of every week, you save lots of money.
That's good. I mean, anything that's saving money at this point is probably for the best. Garrett, I have a couple more Dutch Mantel tweets.
Oh, God.
At Dirty D Mantel, November 21st. Before I get a bunch of woke snowflakes pissed off at me, I just want to say good morning, all you Elon Musk fans.
What? What?
Okay, seems like at Twitter has severe problems right now. Elon is trying to right the ship, so to speak. The question is, can Elon pull them through? Can he do it, or are you ready to unhitch yourself?
What? Huh? What?
Of course, addicted to botches, AEW has the best. It's just the best. Say what you want about Vince. Mm-hmm. But say this too, he was a heat magnet.
Yep.
I love you, Dutch Mantel.
The plan is to tape 2 editions of Impact at each taping and shift Explosion from containing first run material to being more of a best of show. I think they stick to this is where the have one match and show highlights of Impact Explosion format comes in. Wrestlers have been told that they will get paid the same for working 1 double taping as they did for working 2 single tapings. The move is considered to be the first of what could be a series of cost-cutting measures implemented by Jerry Jarrett now that he has regained power within the company.
I like that people are like, this is the end.
Well, it kind of is. Like, the reason, like, Jerry could pull this power play is that the characters are getting cold feet at this stage. That, like, they're getting angsty about the amount of money they're pouring into this company without any potential return, like, inside.
Does this investment ever make money for them?
Well, no. Like, there's a period where TNA is profitable on Spike before they start blowing it all on Hulk Hogan-related nonsense. There's, like, a very slim period in, like, 2009 where the company is profitable. And that's about it. It made a loss for pretty much most of its entire existence. A substantial one as well in the Carter's pocket.
It must have just become like, even though it isn't their business, like their family business, right? That had to be the only reason they still cared about it.
Because ultimately it became Dixie's thing. And that's really what kept it alive more than anything else.
Yeah.
The wrestlers are reacting in paranoia at the news that the company has decided to reduce the number of television tapings by holding bi-weekly tapings. I kind of don't get that. Because, like, again, it's madness that they were flying everybody down there to do a taped show. It's not like they were flying everyone down there to do a live Impact. That would make at least some degree of sense.
I just think that wrestlers don't know how money works.
Yeah, they were flying everybody down there every week to tape an Impact. It's like, what on earth is wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
Some see it as a sign that the company is going out of business, which, to be fair, they're right. The company is pouring money down the hole. Others point out that Dixie Carter was urged to give a locker room pep talk at the pay-per-view to assure the crew that her family was still committed to the project. When she did not meet with wrestlers, some saw it as a sign that she doesn't have respect for their concerns, while others fear that she didn't hold such a meeting because she doesn't know what the future holds.
Do you think it might be because she's 8 months pregnant and this money in this company is like pissing money?
Yeah. The cost cutting continues as Jerry Jarrett attempts to extend the time frame the Carter family gives to the promotion, which is the argument for Jerry doing the power play. That, like, as the company stands, there's probably very little time left, and Jerry is trying to slash costs so that at least the money the characters are spending is less than they were spending, and they might give the company a slightly longer leash.
And the key is just give it all to Dixie.
Besides the decision to cut back the tapings from every week to every 2 weeks, now the number of wrestlers being brought in to TV each week has been cut back. Again, it's another one of those things where you see, like, they're taping 3 to 5 matches for Impact every week. And then usually they tape another 3 with people who are just flown in for those matches. And you're like, again, what are you doing?
Not a lot of this TV production was formed with economical ideas in mind.
Some might say the very opposite.
Yeah.
A lot of weeks where Raven is flown in. Raven would have, like, probably the top earning wrestlers, but flown in just to work an explosion match. And you're like, why?
Like, unless he's injured, Raven should be on this show every week.
So 3 other crew, for instance, were not flown into Orlando for a taping, and even Shark Boy, who's a local wrestler, wasn't used just to save on the payday.
Oh, thank God we're saving Shark Boy's payday. We were really going to go under if we had to pay Shark Boy his $400.
TNA appears to be going with a scaled back crew as one of the many corners that are being cut. It appears that while wrestlers who work 2 matches at one taping may get the same payday as they got when they worked 2 matches over 2 weeks, fewer wrestlers are going to be brought into taping, so the net effect is that most wrestlers won't get the same level of pay with this new schedule. They are also considering moving the tapings to weekends, so that they would get a better crowd, because some of the Universal crowds have been pretty inconsistent because they tape on, I think, Tuesdays. So there's more people at Universal on a Saturday than there is on a Tuesday. But also wrestlers are like, you're not cutting back on the schedule and then cutting into our weekend indie dates. Fuck that.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
So at this point, they have Turning Point scheduled for December. They have Final Resolution scheduled for January, and they have Against All Odds scheduled for February. And that's as far as they have scheduled right now. And a lot of wrestlers were thinking, oh geez, is that like the time we have left?
And that's when they're going to run TNA Big Bang.
Eric Bischoff will turn the company around.
They should have sold it to Eric Bischoff.
No, they shouldn't. A number on Victory Road. It did about 35,000 buys on pay-per-view, which I think is among the most bought pay-per-views in TNA history. Might even be the most bought pay-per-view in TNA history. Also at the much higher price point of $30 rather than $10. So it was a reasonable success for the company.
Well, Tony Khan's Ring of Honor is just crushing TNA.
Well, Ring of Honor is advertised on a much larger television platform, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, excuses, mate.
That excuse won't stand when TNA have 1 million viewers and still do 30,000
Yeah.
pay-per-view buys, but...
I was thinking that, like, I was like, wasn't it this little thing called Spike TV at some point?
At the moment, while they currently have like 150,000 viewers to 200, they're getting, which is pretty good. Like that's over 10% buying the pay-per-view. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Randy Savage made a list of demands before he'd return to TNA. Among the demands are that he is taken to and from the shows in a limousine, which I guess is why they have 15 limousines at every episode of Impact now.
Like, well, we might as well use them.
That Bryan Adams can be at the shows as his bodyguard, paid, by the way. Also, Ron Harris, apparently, that he has 2 paid security at all shows. That he have a private dressing room with a lock on the door. And that Jimmy Hart doesn't come anywhere near him in the backstage area because of his relationship with Hulk Hogan. Savage is so paranoid of Hart that he insisted that Hart not be allowed in the gorilla position or the production truck during his matches. Apparently, Savage is concerned that Hart would attempt to sabotage him from a production standpoint in some manner.
Garrett, I have a question.
Go for it.
Is Jimmy Hart there?
Yeah, he's like a backstage guy. He's not there every week these days, but he does pop up every so often, helping out backstage and whipping up fans at Universal.
I love the idea that, like, Jimmy Hart's not even a part of the company. And Randy Savage is like, you keep Jimmy Hart away from me. And they're like, Randy, we don't, like, Jimmy's like barely here. And like, no, you keep him away.
It's like, oh, we fired him for you, Randy. It's like he wasn't here in the first place, but we fired him for you.
And we kicked him out on the way out just for you, man.
Apparently, Savage has not taken off his jacket in front of anybody, which has led to rumors and speculation that he isn't as muscular as he used to be. Which you can see on the pay-per-view. He's not in terrible shape, but apparently, like, he had extreme body issues, like it brought on by Vince McMahon, just being like, be big, be big.
Time to cycle back on.
Because, like, you watch him when he does take the jacket off on the pay-per-view and come out, he's not Randy Savage anymore.
I mean, yeah, but, like, do you really expect him to be? I think that's kind of an unrealistic expectation at this point. But perhaps it isn't if you're booking him and promoting him as such.
Yeah, when you're bringing him in as the top guy, your top challenger for the world champion Jeff Jarrett main eventing pay-per-views, you do need him to be at least some degree of Randy Savage still.
Yeah.
Apparently he was less on guard and more like joking around with wrestlers more later in the month when he showed up.
It's like Hogan's not here, Jimmy Hart's not here. We're good.
He's calmed down. And the final news though, Billy Gunn is expected to sign a TNA contract once his 90-day no-compete clause expires.
Thank God, Kip James.
There has been talk of having him feud or team with BG James.
Did you know that the BG in BG James stands for Billy Gunn?
Whoa, that's long-term storytelling.
I mean, I'm way more into Bill Gunn than I am Road Dogg.
I was going to say, it would be interesting to like go to the alternate reality where Billy Gunn isn't like a television star in AEW at the Acclaimed right now to get like that Liam's reaction to news that Billy Gunn is coming in. I think it would be a lot less positive.
Yeah. Oh, you know, you can't fault the man for having a good back end to his career.
Yeah, for becoming a star all over again.
Like, I was never like a giant Billy Gunn fan. I think I always like appreciated him, but it is astonishing that he's like managed to be a part of like a billion hot acts.
Yeah, and especially this TNA one coming up.
Oh, the James Hickenbottom.
I hope WWE demand to hand over that tape too.
They should, and then TNA should do it.
Just to save us all from it.
At the Alamo.
Alright, that leads us into the shows, starting with the not main event feud for Turning Point, the semi-main event feud. The Kings of Wrestling against Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, and Randy Savage.
K-O-W King. K-O-W King. Kings of Wrestling.
There was a note in like the Torch being like, can't believe how generic the name Kings of Wrestling is. And then it's like, Ring of Honor choose it for a tag team as well.
Well, I think they were a CZW team first, weren't they?
I don't know wrestling.
You should. You've been like watching it for like decades.
Listen, being old does not give you any expertise in anything. That's what we learn in life.
I mean, like, I get it. It's funny because it wasn't like one guy in the crowd when they announced it that was like, that name sucks.
It's funny when you would sit down and watch like quiz shows and you see an old person, it's like, they've been old. They should have accumulated knowledge. And then you see it's like, no, they haven't. Ah, well.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're not my Kings of Wrestling, but I appreciate it. God, imagine the real Kings of Wrestling versus like AMW.
Or the real Kings of Wrestling against like Randy Savage and AJ Styles.
Oh my God. Is Sarah Del Rey the third in the six man?
Yeah, sure. Sarah Del Rey working with Jeff Hardy.
Oh, the dream.
First hit back of the month, November 12th, 2004. We had the Kings of Wrestling. Well, Mike Tenay was in the ring first. He was hyping up how great Victory Road was before the Kings of Wrestling interrupted. Jarrett, Hall, and Nash walked out to the ring.
I mean, they strike a powerful image, don't they?
Well, Hall and Nash do. Jarrett's there too.
It's so funny how he's like so clearly like a tag along.
He is the third wheel on the Kings of Wrestling tag team as the NWA champion TNA star.
And he's not cool at all.
No, he's lame. He's terrible. Because it's like, we're literally talking about how Hall and Nash dragged Hogan up. At least Hogan like eventually met their level with like the luck of Hollywood Hogan. And Jeff Jarrett cannot.
No. There's no Hollywood Jeff Jarrett.
So Kevin Nash gets a microphone.
And everything after that is perfect.
So Nash's promo here was meant to be 5 minutes. He ended up talking for 15.
Is this the one where like he says something vaguely derogatory to a woman in the front row? And Scott Hall's like, it's okay, they can edit out what they don't like on the mic, and they left it in?
Yeah, because Nash starts this promo with like a little quip that's like, oh, I'm not used to this. No one gave me a script. And then Hall leans over to him. It's like, it's not live. They'll edit it if they don't like it.
But then they left it in.
They did. It's a good bit. I approve of them leaving it in.
It's a good bit to leave in that they'll edit it out, I suppose.
Says they won't miss Turning Point on December 5. Nash quips that he doesn't have a script. He then gives a history lesson on his career, or he jumped to the WWF with Diesel. They did the NWO in WCW. Then they cut the Hall rolling his eyes at the words WCW. I
mean, it's so eye-rolly to hear these two talk about their careers at this point. I've seen too many shoot interviews.
Then he officially dubbed them the Kings of Wrestling.
No. You said that with too much excitement. Please say it correctly.
He officially dubs them the Kings of Wrestling.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
You up-talked at the end, which Kevin Nash would never do, but
You trail off.
it'd be, yeah, it's the Kings of Wrestling.
The highlight of this promo, you don't actually hear the heckle, but I assume somebody in the crowd said something to the extent of "shut up and wrestle."
I heard the heckle.
What was the heckle?
The heckle was, it was very similar to that. I believe it was just, when are we going to see you wrestle?
And then Nash turns around to the guy in the crowd and says the words, "Son, if you're telling me to wrestle, then you haven't watched much of my career." Oh, God bless Big Kev.
I love Big Sexy so much. I hope there's never a point where I get sick of him in this run. Because I love him so much right now. There's only one person in the history of wrestling who can make you like them more by caring less.
And it is Big Kev.
Yeah.
The less he cares, the more entertaining the man gets. He worked it out far too late in his career, but...
Yeah. Yeah, we are the podcast who will sit here and say that Kevin Nash cared too much in WCW.
Yeah, if he cared less, he would have been much more entertaining.
Yeah, Dave. Lee.
Says the roster should thank them for guaranteed money, which then drew an incredible Mike Tenay face.
It's so mean.
And even at the end of the promo, like Jarrett does a promo as well, who cares? He cuts a little promo about how they'll leave Savage in a pool of his own blood, how Hogan ran from Hall, Nash and Jarrett, and how they'll take out TNA's top dogs before the end of the show. Blah. But then Kevin Nash ends the promo being like doing the $1 million face with his pinky finger on his lips. And it's just like sensational.
Imagine having that much natural charisma flow through you.
Yeah, imagine like not caring so much that you come out more charismatic.
Effortlessly cool.
Which brings us to the opposite of effortlessly cool.
Someone who, like, at a point was cool, I suppose, for a certain demographic, but with so much effort behind it.
So BG James came unglued after Kevin Nash's longer than scripted promo caused his Impact match to be cut short at the November 9th tapings. Right after this match, Tree Life Crew defeated Jason Static, Justin Cage, and Scotty Matthews. James, who was agitated and in a bad mood even before the taping began, was upset in part because he and Conan were left lying by Team Canada following their match. James showed his frustration in front of fans by throwing his tag title belt into the tunnel before storming backstage.
I have a quick question.
Shoot.
Wasn't BG James the guy who got real mad at Sasha?
Oh, was he? He probably did, yeah.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to reaffirm that.
Once there, he sounded off on Jeff Jarrett, Dutch Mantel, Bob Ryder, and America's Most Wanted. James was upset that Tree Life Crew was left lying by Hall and Nash at the pay-per-view. Although he didn't agree with management's decision to put his team in that position, he was more upset that they were not given a chance to address the attack in an Impact promo. Jarrett told James that he had Trailcade take the beating to put heat on the heels, but James said he's sick of his team always being put in that position. When Mantel tried to intervene, James threatened to punch him if he said a word. Mantel quickly walked away. BG James was in fine spirits at the following week's tapings, joking about his meltdown last week. There is more details about this meltdown that are a great deal less flattering.
Here's a little quote from BG James on the Sasha walkout.
Oh, go on.
There was business differences and sorry to announce we had to take the titles from them. We're holding a tournament. You know what I mean? To me, that's how you leave it, and you don't air dirty laundry because some of that dirty goes back on you.
Oh, does it now?
Joke's on you, Garrett. He was actually talking about WWE in that quote. He's a Sasha defender all along. Work is right, says Road Dogg. Actually, Garrett, I have a backup quote.
Oh, sure, go for it.
Sasha, same, entertaining young lady, great wrestler, great professional wrestler, but had some stuff in the past where she bucked up against the system a little bit. BG James would never buck up against no system.
No, he's the company man.
Company bad through and through.
During his rant at the November 9 TV tapings, BG James was harshest on Bob Ryder, Chris Harris, and James Storm. He sounded off about his team always playing second fiddle to AMW in terms of the way the teams are portrayed in the storylines.
Have you tried being as good as AMW?
No, they never would. He pointed out that AMW get promos and video packages and other perks and are attributed the favoritism to Ryder using his influence to get his favorites a better push, even going so far as to accuse Harris and Storm of granting Ryder sexual favors in exchange for their push.
BG James sucks.
He also, while complaining about the Tree Life Crew push, said that we're pushed like a derogatory gay slur. The problem is, like, there's a lot of people who apparently came up to BG as like that needed to be said. It's what, like, throwing slurs and accusations at James Storm and Chris Harris.
I'm sorry that they try and they go out there and they deliver and they get pushed because of it.
It's the thing where, like, it's even kind of the same thing with Hall and Nash, where it's like they get lots of attention. Why don't we get attention? It's like they get attention because they're Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. It's like it's the very same principle with AMW. It's like, why are these guys getting pushed and not us? It's like those guys are getting pushed because they're the best tag team in the history of the company, and they have consistently been the best tag team in the history of the company, and are thus pushed as such. You Tree Life Crew go out there and you can't even have good 5-minute wrestling matches.
But we were stars in 1997.
That's the thing. That's all it comes back to. We used to be stars, and you're not anymore. You have a catchphrase that even, like, the crowd aren't even super into the ladies and gentlemen catchphrase. They don't even give a shit about that in TNA.
Don't worry, Garrett. We're almost at the end.
He told both wrestlers that AMW are over-pushed and overrated, and referred to them as Bob Ryder's fluff boys.
BG James hates gay people.
Yeah. Observers do not expect management to fire James, and several wrestlers have vowed to stand up in his defense by meeting with Dixie Carter if anything should happen.
Okay.
Well, there you go. There's a lot more notes in the show notes if you'd like to read more about BG James going off.
Come on, James Storm, can you just kick his ass?
At the same time, BG James was sounding off after his match, Conan and Raven had a brief altercation.
Great, let's go.
The tension between the two wrestlers had been building for months, as Conan has made it clear that he considers Raven to be a prima donna. After his match, Conan walked backstage where Raven was having a conversation with Jerry Jarrett at the gorilla position. Conan shoved Raven with his shoulder, to which Raven responded with a shove. Chris Daniels grabbed Conan while Raven stood next to Jerry Jarrett. Raven flipped off Conan for the next minute or two, while Daniels and Monty Brown tried to keep Conan cool.
Christopher Daniels, he's always too close to the fight. What can you say?
He's always separating these backstage incidents, isn't he?
But Garrett, why wasn't this gigantic news? And why wasn't everyone calling for every side to be fired? And why was there an internal investigation?
Yeah, at the same time, BG is like lobbing gay slurs backstage and accusing people of doing sexual favors to get their push, even though they're far and away the best team in company history. While Conan is also like getting into it at the very same time with Raven, and like everyone's just like, to bring things back to Hall and Nash.
Yeah, where it's the good stuff.
It should come as no surprise to no one that Jeff Jarrett made the decision to align himself on camera with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. He knows they'd overshadow him, noted one source. They still do, even though they're standing next to each other.
Yeah, but I suppose he's like hoping for the rub.
However, Hall and Nash are not complaining about being paired with Jarrett on the air. Sources also believe that Hall and Nash will re-sign with the company once their 8-day contracts end, assuming the financial details can be worked out. Nash lives 45 minutes from Universal Studios and Hall is just 15 minutes away. So they like the idea of having fun a few times a month without having to travel.
I mean, let's be real, that sounds awesome, doesn't it?
It does sound like the dream, that literally you're 15 minutes away from work, you go there, you show up. Like, Hall does wrestle. Nash doesn't even do that. He's there in a towel.
Yeah, he doesn't even have to, like, bump. It's like 15 minutes of actual work, too.
Although Nash is high on AJ Styles, he knows there wouldn't be money in working a match with them. However, Nash wants to work with Styles on camera, so an eventual Styles versus Hall singles feud is probably in the works.
He's like, listen, I can't keep up, don't worry about it.
I appreciate that, though.
Yeah. I like that, but also we could tell just from watching it that, clearly Nash was high on AJ because he bumped huge for him.
Yeah, he took a real bump for AJ. So main event of that show was AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy facing the Naturals.
It was okay.
It was a perfectly solid little match. Hardy threw Stevens over his shoulders into a Styles Clash. Pretty cool finish. Like, he elevated him like a full flip into the Styles Clash. Then Jarrett attacked Styles and Hardy with a chair, allowing Hall to hit Styles with the Razor's Edge and Nash to hit Hardy with the jackknife simultaneously to go off the air.
It's kind of like every interaction between these guys.
What, where just babyfaces get beaten up?
Just like, attack, beat up, end the show.
November 19th, we go full NWO, we're taking over.
It only took them a month.
So, yeah, the Kings of Wrestling attack folks backstage, including Red comes out of a little trailer, jumps on Nash, and then Nash lawn darts him into the trailer just like he did Rey Mysterio.
Would have been a more apt spot to do a year ago, but okay.
Why a year ago?
When Red was still good.
Oh, okay. He's just a guy now. But the idea is Red is like TNA's Ray, I guess.
He was.
He sure was. Jarrett defeated J-Rock in the opener. Hall and Nash were on commentary.
I had to go back and rewatch this episode because I missed this match. It was so quick.
How did you miss the match?
Like, I was watching it. I must have turned for half a second, turned back, and there wasn't a match. And then I went back to go put my ratings in for the AMW NYC match. And I was like, wait, there was a Jeff Jarrett J-Rock match?
Yeah, Jarrett won with the stroke.
I'm surprised.
So Nash demanded that there be no surprises at this taping because him and Hall were on commentary, and then a limo arrived.
Just a spit in his face.
So they were on commentary for most of the first half of the show. AMW faced the NYC. Hall and Nash were still on commentary. They were like, hey, why aren't they going to fight Triple X? They're a bunch of cowardly bitches. Later in the show, a second limo arrived, and then Kings of Wrestling were in the production truck being like, no more surprise. Third limo arrives.
I love... Like, we've finally reached TNA proper, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's irony or if it's just poetic, but TNA arrived with Kevin Nash.
He brought the spirit. Kevin Nash and Dave Sahadi, the two people truly responsible for TNA.
It's not wrong because the TNA humor that we've been dying for and that we love. I got like a lot of reaction on the tweet that I made about the Thanksgiving TNA clips because I was like, this is why we're here. This is why we want to cover TNA for angles and spots like this.
Yeah, you get Kevin Nash this month. You get the Triple H Vince stuff this month. It's a lot of good TNA stuff.
You get them filming at like WWE's like while they're trying to film their fucking Royal Rumble thing. But like you get Nash here and then like in the room, and then the guy's like to Jeff Jarrett, don't touch me again or I'll sue you. And they cut back to Nash and Hall going, ooh.
Oh, they're very good. I enjoy them.
If Terry Taylor was in the production truck, they should have used him in that spot.
So after the main event of that show, there was Kid Cash and Shazarian against Sanjay Dutt Siaki and Hector Garza, which is a match they just ran back on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
This Cash hits Siaki with a coconut to win. Shark Boy shows up and eventually gets a Superfly Splash, stereos with Garza and Siaki. Before Kings of Wrestling arrive, stroke to Garza, Razor's Edge to Sharky, jackknife to Sanjay, before the, frankly, pretty awesome babyface army of Randy Savage, Jeff Hardy, and AJ Styles come out to challenge them to a six-man tag team match at the pay-per-view.
It feels like a good flow of generation here. You know what I mean? Like Savage, Hardy, Styles. It just feels like a natural progression a little bit.
You get like the biggest babyface of like the late 80s, early 90s, the biggest babyface of like the late 90s, early 2000s, and then probably what should have been the biggest babyface of like the late 2000s, early 2010s.
Who then found out he was a tremendous heel.
It turns out very strange.
It's like that realization we've been having a lot lately, is where it's like, it's not like, oh man, these great babyfaces can play great heels, and it's like, no, they're just great wrestlers. It's not like a heel face thing. It's just, oh, they're really good at what they do.
And there are some people who are like much better. Like Styles for a long while was a much better babyface than a heel, but also he's a great wrestler, so he learned how to be a great heel too.
Yeah, my favorite run ever of Styles is him as a heel
In New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
Which we will watch in Rain
Which we'll
Takers.
get to covering soon.
Yeah, there we go. Both stereo plugs for the patreon.com/kiddingme, Rain Takers.
There you go. What's our next Rain Taker show, Garrett? It's World Tag League.
If you insist on us doing World Tag League, it will be World Tag League.
We can do a World Tag League.
All right, because we're recording this weekend anyway for Wrestling Society X, it makes sense to double shot it, I suppose.
Let's do World Tag League.
All right, so World Tag League will be coming your way on December 2nd, I think, or was it 12th? Sometime in December, you'll have the World Tag League finals from 2012.
It might be the last thing you get for the year.
It will be, because the next thing will be Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah. I also meant just like with this show too, because unless we're gonna like record December 20th.
Well, I figure we haven't locked these plans in yet, so we probably shouldn't
On-air
talk about them,
production meeting.
We'll do the Final Resolution episode, which will be in 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll have the Days of Thunder crossover with World Wrestling All-Stars, which we haven't officially locked in yet.
Oh my god, we're confirming that. Maybe this isn't an on-air production meeting and we edited it out.
We've been shouting at Dave and Lee. They probably won't want to do it after all we've said about them. But
yeah, we'll have to run to someone else.
it's the classic, we'll work it into a shoot. But I figure Final Resolution, that, and then we'll come back in the new year with the first episode being Against All Odds.
Sounds about right.
But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, six-man tag at Turning Point. It will be Hall, Nash, and Jarrett versus Savage, Styles, and Hardy. Savage does do a little physicality here. He does drop Jarrett with a punch.
I was going to say, like, well, so you think it'll be that six-man tag.
I enjoyed as Savage made the challenge, Savage music then started playing, and Nash started playing his theme on an air guitar, or chair guitar, I guess.
He does not give a shit at all, and it's so cool.
The man is just coasting and having a good time.
And he does it for like the next 8 years.
So November 26 opens with my least favorite segment this month.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a bunch of X Division guys either side of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash's door.
How do you hate this segment?
I don't mind it in like it being silly, but in the way they presented this, I think it's so stupid.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't make them look cool, but it does make them look dumb, and Kevin Nash delivers a great performance here.
So they have AJ Styles and a bunch of X Division guys either side of the door. They knock on the door as Scott Hall answers, and AJ Styles hits him with a sucker punch, and they all run away, while Kevin Nash is sitting on the chair in a towel.
Yeah, I thought he was like getting ready to like sunbathe.
You can hear them there. He's like, Scott, order food.
Maybe he's like, oh, Scott, did you order food? Go get it from the door.
So if they had anybody other than AJ be the one to sucker punch Hall, I'd be like, all right. You know, if it was Shark Boy who hit him, it's like, all right, that's not bad.
What if it was Chris Sabin?
I'd also have a problem. It should have been Shark Boy or D-Ray.
I don't know. I feel like I don't mind it being someone higher statute than that, but it should have been Red.
At least, yeah, that would have made more sense for him to potshot Hall. The problem with it being AJ is like the announcers play this up as this like great act of defiance.
Or at the very least, like, AJ should have enseguried him or something. It's just a punch.
Like, they really present this as AJ standing up to the kings of wrestling. And it's like, no, he fucking cheap-shotted them and ran away like a bitch.
It would have been better if he, like, actually just laid them both out. You can still, like, jump them because, like, they're jumping them and it's turnabout is fair play. But he shouldn't take one punch and then run away with all his friends.
Yeah, it's the running away. And yeah, they even had, like, the numbers. Even if they beat them up, like, 6-on-2, I'd have less of a problem.
8 of them there.
Yeah, there's like 6 to 8 of them outside the door. They knock on the door, they take a cheap shot at Hall, and they all run away snickering.
And Nash is just confused. He looks around like, what's happening?
I hate this segment. I hate the way this segment is meant to portray AJ.
That being said, it is awesome.
Main event of this episode, Scott Hall versus the phenomenal AJ Styles, and which I thought was actually pretty good.
Yeah, this is fun. It's nice to see something like this. And Hall can still do it, you know? He can still go.
Yeah, you see the snap on his moves and the way he moves. He's obviously much bigger than he used to be.
He also feels like a star still.
Because he's gigantic.
He has that aura. And he's wrestling AJ.
Yeah, so he has that star aura. He's wrestling AJ. It's just a fun match on paper. Scott Hall versus AJ Styles.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's not a special match, but it's nice to have a big, meaningful main event between top stars on television, something they just don't do.
Yeah, this is Dusty.
Yeah, this was Dusty's first episode, and even like he has big announcements, like he announces Hall and Styles for this match, and he announces Jarrett against Monty for next week. So it's very much him coming out there and being like, we're doing stuff on TV now.
Yeah, the Jarrett Monty one definitely felt like. I don't know if I want to I don't want to criticize it as feeling like a little rushed or a little ham-fisted, but in a way it was, but also it's something happening on the show, so can I get that mad at it?
Anyway, they have been building toward it since like July.
Yeah, but it feels like they also have stopped building to it, you know?
Well, they did do it on TV.
I guess. I don't know if I love it.
So in that Hall and Styles match, Nash came out the ringside. Nash hit AJ in the back, allowing Hall to hit a chokeslam, but Styles kicked out. Hardy ran out, drop-kicked Hall, but then Hall kicked out. Oh, Styles went for a Styles clash, which I would have loved to see. I don't think the logistics of Styles clashing Scott Hall would work, but either way.
Who's the biggest person AJ has Styles clashed?
He's done it to Abyss, but I don't think he hooked the arms. He just did like a gotch pile driver more than anything.
Like, maybe someone in New Japan he hit that was big?
He's Style clashed Joe before.
Joe's, yeah, but I don't know if I consider Joe like that. Like, if he did it to, like, Archer, I would be more impressed.
Well, Joe's a very large man. Styles went for the Styles clash, but then Jarrett hit Styles with the guitar, allowing Hall to win. Then Savage ran all the babyfaces out of the tunnel, and Savage cut a quick promo, just ooh yeah, his way to Turning Point.
Yeah, I would have given Savage a couple more words, but hey.
Yeah, he doesn't got any long promos. He does just be like, Turning Point, we're gonna take you down. Yeah, dig it. Then be a man, Hope. December 3, the big development here is, as we mentioned, Jeff Jarrett defends the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against the alpha male Monty Brown.
Yeah, I think this was alright. I liked some certain parts of it. I like that they tried to give Monty an out.
Yeah, Abyss attacked him earlier in the show, hit him with a plank.
I think, listen, you probably don't want to end Jarrett's reign on a TV, but I think they would have maybe gained some hype if Monty had won this, and like they had the three-way, they had a singles for the title with Monty and Abyss, and then they had the main event with the tags, Six Sides of Steel. I think that's a slightly more interesting version of the show that we got.
Even if you're Dusty, like coming out on your first TV taping basically as a booker, it's like, let's do something that like that's a statement of intent. We're gonna get behind Monty Brown.
But there's no way Jarrett agrees.
That's the problem. Jarrett's still in the room, Jarrett's still a voice, and Jarrett's still probably not willing to put over Monty because they keep insisting he's not ready, even though everything you see from him tells you he's ready.
And even like what is ready for this company.
At the level he needs to perform at for an NWA World title match in this company, he is more than there right now. They have this match where he looks more than there right now. Monsters Ball, more than there. Hardy matches, more than there. Raven matches, more than there. He's the guy. This idea that Monty wasn't ready for this title in November, December, January 2004, 2005 is just complete and utter nonsense. He absolutely was. They just fucking bottled it.
Do you think it's a nonsense excuse, or do you think that like perhaps because it's the NWA title they're trying to like hold it to some standard? I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just throwing it out as a devil's advocate thing.
I don't think. Like, if you can't say we can put the belt on Monty Brown, then you just keep the fucking thing on Jarrett forever, you know? If you're like, Monty's not good enough to hold this esteemed belt, then just leave it on Jarrett. Who gives a shit anymore?
Yeah. Also, maybe like, just, it's your belt. Just do the TNA title. What are we doing? We're not NWA-TNA anymore.
Like, they don't need a committee vote anymore. Like, they have control of the NWA title.
Yeah.
They make unilateral decisions about who wins this belt. Just put it fucking on Monty. And I'm fine with Monty losing here, because Jarrett retains the belt. But we may be less fine when we talk about Monty in our next episode.
I think I'm gonna be pro Jarrett. I'm just feeling that.
So Monty's ribs were taped from Abyss's attack. TNA tells us that they're sticking with this match until the very end. The classic Tony Khan gimmick where it's like, we're gonna stay live no matter what, even though the match ends within the hour anyway.
I mean, I like it.
It does sell importance. Even like when Monty was coming out, Mike TNA was explaining that like Monty didn't have posters of football players on his wall. He had posters of wrestlers. It's like he may have played in 2 Super Bowls, but this is his dream.
I like, we got another, like, old school wrestling ism from Mike TNA as well, where he's like, tape machines are rolling.
Yeah, the classic tape machines. We don't have tape machines anymore, but they're still rolling.
The digital tape machines are rolling.
There's a bunch of, like, little, like, when Chris Sabin hit a pile driver on Petey Williams at Turning Point, Mike TNA shouted that it's a regulation pile driver, and just something about that gave me a chuckle.
Especially since he did, like, a weird, like, facebuster powerbomb before.
Yeah.
Was that regulation as well?
Jarrett hit Monty with a guitar, but Monty didn't even go down. Then Monty kicked out of the stroke. Hall came out. He fought off Hall. He hit a pounce on Hall, pounced Jarrett, but Jarrett followed with chair shots to retain. Styles and Hardy were shown laid out. Savage checked on them, as that's our go-home show, as a car approached Savage in the distance. There was no payoff to what that car was or what it was doing.
It was him leaving.
It was eventually the one that like kidnapped him, but
it was his Uber.
He's just like, oh, you guys are laid out, but I gotta go home.
Maybe it was DDP.
So Jarrett retains the NWA World Heavyweight title over the Alpha Male. Earlier in the show, Hall and Nash were in the ring. Hall says they're taking Savage, Styles, and Hardy to school. The crowd starts chanting boring, so Nash starts singing instead.
He's like, yeah, oh, you don't want to hear me talk? Maybe you want to hear me sing?
And then he gets out of the ring and he takes like a slight fall on the apron. And it's like, that was nearly a bump. You nearly got a bump for free.
God, he's the best.
And then they hijacked a camera for no reason. I guess they were the ones. No, because Savage was there, so they wouldn't have been the ones filming the attack. So they just took the camera for no reason, I guess.
Because they're taking over.
Which brings us to Turning Point, in which the semi-main event, not the main event, was Randy Savage, Jeff Hardy, and AJ Styles facing Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Jeff Jarrett. Earlier in the show, Savage did a promo with Scott Hudson, same thing, ooh yeah, dig it, before he was kidnapped. My favorite thing about the kidnapping segment is they don't show them actually shoving Savage into the car.
It's all implication.
They show them throwing Savage's hat into the car, slamming the door, and then the car drives off as Mike Tenay is like, is that Savage? Did they kidnap Savage?
Savage, just do the fucking angle. Jesus Christ. Jump in the car. Have a fucking... I don't know. That strikes me. Like, they're paying you a shit ton. Just do the bit. You don't even have to wrestle on this show.
Hey, he works very hard. So you do get the match. It ends up being a 3-on-2 handicap match for most of its 18-minute runtime.
Oh my god, this match was so fucking long.
This match was impossibly long. And, like, irrationally long, some would suggest.
Illegally long. This should not be.
So they do the 3-on-2. It's like, it's technically fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not like Hall's falling over the place or anything, but there's very little good there until the very last minute, which is still not very good, but at least Randy Savage shows up. By the way, it must be noted, before we talk about Savage,
It must be.
that the Kings of Wrestling come out to the Flying Elvis's music.
With tremendous gear.
Yeah, where Hall and Nash are wearing Elvis jumpsuits, but Jarrett isn't. Jarrett didn't commit to the bit.
Why is Jared not committed to this bit?
He sucks. Jarrett stinks.
He's ruining it for everyone. Jarrett's a great grifter, but he's no Kevin Nash when it comes to coolness, is he?
No.
I suppose who is?
He wishes he could get as much money for doing as little work as Big Kev did.
Not wrong. If Big Kev was running the live event business for AEW right now, we'd all be talking different.
Oh, then we'd be getting a bunch of Big Kev against Sting matches.
Who would they team Big Kev
No,
with?
just put him in the Jarrett slot where he's with the old X Division guys, the Paparazzi Productions reunion.
Oh my... Well, then you have to bring in Alex.
So Savage walks out, locks Jarrett in a sleeper as the other two lock the other two in a sleeper as well. Then Jarrett goes for a sunset flip. Savage punches him, sits down in the sunset flip, and pins the NWA World Champion.
Hell yeah.
They very clearly present this as the guy just pinned the champion. Shouldn't he get a title shot? Which was the plan, but Savage walked out.
Yeah, how would you feel about Randy Savage versus Jeff Jarrett?
Based on what you see of the, 30 seconds of them interacting just on this show, I kind of would have liked to see it out of morbid intrigue.
How well do you think it would have done?
Because they would have insisted on doing, a 15-minute match minimum.
Oh, 100%. It might be good because Jarrett won't be able to pull his bullshit with Randy.
But also, Randy can't do anything.
Yeah, but Randy can probably walk and brawl with the best of them, so...
It's true, they just go all over the entire Impact Zone.
Yeah.
They brawl all the way to the Asylum and back. So just 2 days after pinning NWA World Champion Jeff Jarrett at Turning Point, Randy Savage walked out in the promotion. Savage showed up at Universal Studios in Orlando, but ended up having a 3.5-hour meeting with Jerry Jarrett, then walked out without appearing on camera as scheduled. His future with the company is unknown, but at this point it appears he is at an impasse over either money or plans on how he wants to be used. He was scheduled to face Jarrett in the main event of TNA's Final Resolution January pay-per-view. The big rumor is basically that he insisted when he came in, he's not losing to Jeff Jarrett. He's not going to put over Jeff Jarrett. So that when they were like, we're going to put you in a pay-per-view main event against Jeff Jarrett, he's like, hey guys, what's the result of that match?
That was my first thought, was like, there's no way in hell, if they do that match, that Randy wants to lose.
Yeah, so when it became increasingly clear that they wanted him to lose, he's like, fuck it, peace out.
Which is kind of base, to be fair.
Yeah, apparently he was making between 10 and 25 grand per show, which is insane money.
Also, maybe Randy just do the job ski.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're not getting signed anywhere else. Just take the money.
When you think about the lengths they had to go to protect him, even in a 6-man tag, you realize there's probably a lot going on in Randy's head at this stage of his career.
What was Randy Savage's last match?
This is the last match of the Macho Man Randy Savage's career. Randy Savage, Jeff Hardy, and AJ Styles versus Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Jeff Jarrett.
It's kind of an interesting, weird wrestling fact, isn't it?
TNA have a surprising number of people's last matches.
I wouldn't brag about that.
No, they have Chyna's. They had Ric Flair's until Ric Flair had another last match, I guess.
Hogan?
Hogan's last match as well, yeah. So that's the weird TNA legacy. I was at Hogan's last match. It was a house show.
The last 3 companies Randy Savage worked: TNA, WCW, New Japan.
He did do appearances at WWA.
He didn't wrestle.
So yeah, that's the end of Randy Savage's career. The final match of the Macho Man, the final time he was seen on television as a pro wrestler. He did the acting stuff after this, but
I mean, listen, I don't feel like someone who's really educated enough to talk about Randy Savage's career at length.
I feel like we have to put what I call the Kurt Hennig proviso. If somehow the only match you've seen of Randy Savage's career is this one, this one TNA match, I would highly recommend you go watch some more Randy Savage.
I heard that Ricky Steamboat Randy Savage match is pretty good.
It's just like a 3 3/4 star match, but still.
People seem to like that one.
The biggest disappointment, honestly, is like Savage's thing is his charisma. You know, he is one of the most iconic promos of all time.
He doesn't even cut a promo.
All his promos are just like standard, see you at the pay-per-view, yeah. You don't even get like a deranged Macho Man promo.
They don't even give him like a Randy and Jeff being weird together promo. Of course, they never let Jeff Hardy talk in general, but you know.
Or just like patting AJ on the head, being like, oh yeah, you're the future of the business.
Oh my god, imagine AJ trying to keep up with Randy Savage and Jeff Hardy.
There's like a funny moment on the Best Dams, I'm sorry to bring them up, where Chris Rhodes is trying to go like banter for banter with Roddy Piper. It's like, even if you think he's a pretty good host, the man can't go barb for barb with Roddy Piper.
Yeah, and watching that WrestleMania, it was very funny seeing like Austin and Piper going back and forth together, and then it's just like, all right, Carlito, good luck.
So Savage pins Jarrett. He was meant to challenge in January, but he walked out, and we'll pick that up in January.
Don't worry, I'm sure they will bounce back accordingly.
Which brings us to the actual main event of Turning Point 2004, which is Triple X versus America's Most Wanted inside 6 Sides of Steel.
Which is funny, because like, I feel like this month didn't really have a crazy build to it either. I think the build to the first cage match was a lot better.
Yeah, it's funny because like at Victory Road, they did announce the cage match. You know, Dusty comes out, accepts his Director of Authority position, democratically elected, and then one of his first decisions is to make that match. It is AMW against Triple X.
Pam Anderson's first vote ever.
She was like,
in America.
I would like to see Triple X in AMW, so I'm going to vote for the American Dream. So he did make the match on behalf of Pamela Anderson inside 6 Sides of Steel, and yet they're not even on the first Impact of the month.
Yeah, it's kind of a disappointing build-up, but once you get to the match, who gives a shit?
I guess like they might consider the match built to, which they're probably not wrong.
Yeah, but you know, you can give me a little some in between. Yeah, like there's like, it may already be built to, but there's nothing that hurts it from trying to add some more heat to it.
So November 19th Impact, franchise has Triple X backstage. They've set up a cage in the parking lot.
It kind of looks like a dog, like one of those dog cages that you'll get to put in your yard when they're like a puppy and they can't be like out in the yard by themselves.
I was trying to think, it must be pretty hard to set up a 6-sided cage like that.
I'm sure they have enough stagehands.
Because like when you're attaching it to the ring, you at least have the frame of the ring to tie it to. Whereas I was thinking, like, when you set up like the first side of it, you have to hold it in place while you set up the next few sides until it can balance itself.
Yeah, with a 4-sided cage, you can probably do it all at once. Do you think they attach them all like on the ground laying down, and then they just put it all up at once and attach the one link between the last two?
That would be very elaborate.
I don't think it would be. You just attach them all side by side on the ground, and then you pick them up and you move them into the shape.
That's probably a better way to do it. I was just thinking of like, hold one side.
Doing it while they're all trying to you have 2 people holding up the cage as you put it
while
another
you
side.
attach the sides, and then eventually it'll balance itself, yeah.
I don't think that would have been the way. Hey, maybe it was.
So Triple X invite AMW to come out to the parking lot in their 6 sides of steel cage set up there to end it right now. AMW have a match against the NYC immediately after, so like that's the reason they don't go to answer the challenge, even though Hall and Nash are on commentary being like, those nerds, they're not answering the challenge.
They're cowards.
Hall and Nash jump AMW to cause a DQ. They brawl to the back where Triple X locked them in the cage and then beat them up.
Yeah, I did not like this match.
Well, you liked it so much you got to see it again. November 26th. It's America's Most Wanted versus the NYC round 2.
I did not like this match.
AMW pinned Gilberti with the death sentence. It was a perfectly normal, forgettable TV match.
At least at least this one actually was a match.
And AMW did pin Disco, and Disco has shiny pants now.
Yeah, sure does. And does not have the body of a Disco Inferno of a year ago.
Yeah, he is no longer jacked. He was jacked when he got that title shot, which was, I assume, how he earned the title shot, by being jacked.
Well, that's what we even mentioned at the time. The dude looked like $1 million.
But now he is a man who knows he's a mid-card act and has a body accordingly.
Yeah. Hey, they went from they got to a hot 2 out of 5 rating on this match, and the match before I gave a useless out of 5.
So December 3rd, all there was an AMW go-home promo.
Yeah, again, like, I don't know. I don't need a lot. Maybe like they kind of promo backstage and they get bloodied up by Triple X or something. Just give us some heat for the big cage match that's main eventing your show.
Yeah, even like the one angle they had, which was the cage in the parking lot angle, that ended up being more about the Kings of Wrestling than it ended up being about Triple X and AMW.
Yeah. You could have done that on the go home. Like when they were doing their promo, you could have attacked them and dragged them out to the cage and bloodied them.
But that does lead us to Turning Point. Main eventing over the final match of Randy Savage's career, no less. It is Inside Six Sides of Steel. Oh, we forgot to mention, Dusty at one stage comes out to the ring and mentions it'll be a losing team's disbands match. That happened somewhere this month too.
It's a little known fact.
Yeah, so losing team must disband. It's America's Most Wanted versus Triple X. The defining tag team rivalry of TNA history. The rivalry that began as a part of tradition versus sex has all the way built to the main event of their second monthly pay-per-view as the two best teams in TNA history try to top the cage match they had in the middle of 2003.
Listen, I think AMW is perfectly accepting in that role of one of the best, if not the best, tag team in company history. I don't think Triple X is.
All right, if you were to say the second best team in TNA history is X, who do you say?
Motor City Machine Guns.
No, I mean at this point, not ever.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you were like saying all of TNA history.
No, Triple X wouldn't make top 10. Well, they'd probably make top 10.
You said it in a very affirmative way, and I was like, I don't agree with that. I can agree with AMW in that role. Honestly, I think I've been kind of down on Triple X in general throughout this. Like, I think the build when they first came in was good. I think the build to the first steel cage match was really good. But ever since then, I haven't really enjoyed Triple X very much.
Because they were basically gone after the cage match. Like, that wasn't a losing team disbands, but they were basically gone. The sex angle went away. Daniels and Skipper went to do Japan stuff, and then Daniels had a little singles run. Skipper came back and had a little singles run. And then they came back together as a babyface tag team.
And I didn't like that at all. And I haven't enjoyed any of that up until the first match that they had at Victory Road. Obviously, that's kind of thrown out because, everyone died. But I didn't really like the build up to that. I didn't like that match, obviously. I didn't like this month because nothing really much happened with them. So I think overall, I'm kind of not super into Triple X.
So even here,
as much as I was...
December of 2004, would you not even give them the second best team in TNA history ranking?
I probably would, yes. This is my summary of Triple X up until this point, though. I just don't think there's a lot of competition either. Like maybe AJ and Jerry Lynn,
which they had like 3 matches together.
AJ and D'Lo.
Yeah, you'd have AJ, D'Lo. You'd have the Naturals. You'd have the New Church.
Honestly, I might put the New Church.
I think I might put the New Church too. Might have Diamond and Swinger, but they only really had good matches with AMW. So
I was gonna say, yeah, I think it might be the New Church.
Might be the second best team in TNA history to this point.
It might even be Julio and Punk.
It's not Julio and Punk.
I probably put New Church above them.
Julio and Punk didn't have a single match better than 3 stars. Don't you retcon them into being a good tag team.
No. Okay, what if I say Julio and Alexis?
Yes, they had that Clockwork Orange match against Jeff Jarrett. It was a dream match.
Which is great, so...
Don't you retcon. I will not accept you retconning Julio and Punk into being a good team in this company when all they ever did was have 5-minute matches that weren't very good.
Alexis. Stop yelling at me. Yeah, so honestly, yeah, I think I would put New Church above Triple X so far. But that being said, I'm going to probably just pass it over to you because this is your match. They obviously came together here and had another incredible, crazy match. I like the first one more, but maybe I'm just a hipster nerd. Because Garrett, you think this is the best ever.
Yeah, let's start where we should start, which is Elix Skipper's cage walk.
I mean, what if he could have just died?
He could have died. Again, I say this every time I talk about this match, but if you've never seen this spot, go watch it.
Then you mustn't be following Garrett on Twitter.
I post it like twice a week. But if you've never seen a TNA steel cage, it's not the WWE steel cage where you think, oh, walking the top of a cage, that's fine. Same with the AEW cage. They have those big thrusters at the top that are very easy to get your balance on and very easy to walk on.
By the way, they probably should have, and it's good that they do have them. But they'll never have a moment as cool as Elix Skipper walking across a fucking 1 inch thick piece of metal.
Yeah, so TNA's cages are like an inch, maybe 2 inches wide tops. And Elix Skipper does his rope walk spot. He calls it New School, rope walk Hurricanrana. And at least like 20% of the time he falls when he does that on the ropes. Never mind anything else. So in this match, you have Daniels and Chris Harris brawling on one side of the cage. Harris is sitting on top of the cage while he's occupied with Daniels. Skipper happens to be standing on the other side, like a cage length apart, one of the cage sides apart. Skipper walks that 1 to 2 inch steel cage and Hurricanranas Chris Harris off of it in what is, I think, if you were to list the best high spots in wrestling history, never mind TNA, it's right up there. It might even be the best. It's definitely like top 3.
It's crazy. And also, I don't think like Chris Harris gets enough credit for taking that damn bump as well.
Yeah, that man takes a flip bump off a cage and gets absolutely no credit for it.
And also, like, it's not even like... It obviously is the craziest thing that happens in that match, but there's a bunch of other wacky, insane bullshit in that match too. Like, the top rope powerbomb.
Yeah, James Storm just power bombs, or was it Harris? Skipper gets power bombed off the cage anyway.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. They do so much crazy shit in this. I think this is definitely more of the high spots match than the last one. And the last one was more of like a classic Southern style brawl with lots of blood, you know?
Yeah, even like Daniels, immediately after Skipper does the cage walk, Daniels drops an elbow off a cage. Nobody remembers it.
No. Because, like, how do you top that, you know? The only way Daniels tops that is if he does the PME off of it.
That would be the best moonsault ever, to be fair.
Yeah. So, just insane, crazy shit. But it's not enough to win it for Triple X.
Yeah, people would have a problem with that. It's like, oh, it wasn't the finish. It's like, oh, who cares? Shut up. Go away, you nerds.
But also, those people didn't watch any of the build-up, or, you know, they don't really know anything in the lead-up to this. Those people just saw that spot and go, oh, it wasn't the finish.
Also, like, the crane cam TNA uses, which is, like, a very TNA thing, but it creates, like, the perfect shot for that Skipper cage walk, where it's not, like, shooting from the floor up, even if that would probably look pretty cool in its own right, but or shooting through a cage. It literally has you, like, from Skipper's perspective, almost looking over his shoulder as he, like, takes a few, like, tentative steps and then takes a few much quicker steps to do the ran off the cage. It's insane. It's the coolest moment in TNA history, maybe. It's one of the coolest moments in wrestling history. As I said, if you were to list the top high spots in wrestling history, it would be very, very, very high on that list, with such a small margin for error, because if he falls, he looks like the biggest fool on earth and also probably dies.
It's like Matt Foley falling through the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, and if he falls like either onto the guardrail or into the crowd, you know, or if he falls the other way, he just collapses into the ring.
There's no, like, there's like a 5% success rate on that, and he just managed to hit it.
And we were mentioning on the watch along, tnachat.com, patreon.com/kiddingme, where it's like, he's the only one in this match that doesn't bleed. The rest bleed buckets. And there's probably a good reason if he's going to walk that steel cage. It's like, I probably don't want any blood loss as I walk that steel cage.
We also thought, like, maybe he's just not a blood guy because we don't think he bled in the other steel cage.
Yeah, he didn't bleed in the first one either. I think he was the only one who didn't bleed in that one either. So he's just like, no thank you to the blood. Which, honestly, I'm a very pro-blood and wrestling guy. I think blood rocks. But I also fully respect anyone who's like, yes, I would not like to cut my forehead. Thank you very much.
You actually picked quite the hot topic with blood, because that's quite the Twitter debate today.
It's just because WWE were doing a War Games without blood. Did they have blood in the end? I didn't watch the matches.
I don't believe it had... Oh, no, I did. I watched that main event. It did not have blood.
Cowards, the lot of them.
And, so you're one of these blood-hungry AEW marks who need blood.
It's like, I would have liked Mox and Max if Mox had bled, but for once, Mox didn't bleed, so -5 stars.
I'm pretty sure he didn't bleed because they didn't want to pay out on the the fucking, what do you call it?
The DraftKings thing.
Yeah, the DraftKings, because the DraftKings thing was like, will Moxley or MJF bleed? And, you know, and I even said when that happened to the people in the room, oh, that's easy money.
Yeah, it's the safest bet you'll ever make in your life, and there's no blood.
Exactly, so I think they did that on purpose.
So yeah, this match, they introduced the handcuffs for the first time, which would become an America's Most Wanted staple, but are used here. Harris is isolated in handcuffs for a while until he gets free, and then the finish is that they handcuff Daniels to the rope, playing back to the whole idea, like the build for the first match was the numbers game, the numbers advantage, so they're even playing off that idea for the final finish of their match too, where Daniels is tied to the ropes. They're going for a death sentence, and Harris says no because Triple X hit AMW with a death sentence earlier in the match. AMW are like, fuck them. We're going to beat them with their own move. They hit Triple X's Powerplex on Skipper. 1, 2, 3. Skipper and Daniels have to break up.
So how do you think Loki feels?
Yeah, it's for Loki. It's triple X. It's not double X.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck, guys? Our stable just broke up and I wasn't even involved.
It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
So I think we suggested on the watch along that Dusty should have been in the AMW and they should have brought Loki and it should have been a 6-man.
American Dream's Most Wanted against the true Triple X.
Yeah.
That would be a good match. Imagine Loki and Dusty. Actually, Loki and Dusty have interacted, haven't they?
Yes. I was going to say we should get Loki versus Dusty in a singles just to settle it now.
You had that Triple X and Russo against, was it the Road Warriors, Dusty and Jarrett, that match?
Yes.
I have to go back and check that Dusty and Loki interact in that match.
That's the truest test now. Did we ever get a Dusty Loki interaction? Like, knowing Loki, he was probably like, yeah, I gotta get like a bionic elbow from Dusty or something.
He probably does eat one, yeah.
The problem is, he might just be like, I want to take like the Doomsday or something, you know what I mean? Like, he might just be like so starstruck by the idea of getting to work with the Road Warriors that he's like, he forgets about Dusty for a second.
So you're saying he's not so starstruck about the idea of working with Jeff Jarrett?
No, I wasn't saying that.
I think this match is like the bar for like ending blood feuds, because you can argue about how they built to it or how your love of Triple X heading in, but when you say losing team disbands steel cage, this is what you should get. You should get two teams bitterly and bloodily fighting to stay alive as tag teams in every way that these two teams do, with some of the most insane moves you will ever see in the history of pro wrestling. Again, when like a power bomb off a cage and an elbow drop off a cage, and we didn't even mention the Tower of Doom where Daniels nearly died. In all of those spots, which are just like background fodder for the cage walk. That's the bar. That's what you should do when your teams are on the line inside a steel cage.
I was also going to say, like, I think that the complaint about the cage walk not being the finish is stupid because it's losing team disbands. It's every ounce of your being to kick out of these big spots. Like, literally everything's on the line. It's more than titles. It's your existence as a pro wrestler. So I can buy kicking out of things that you never would believe a kick out from in a different kind of match. This is like getting mad at watching like a big mask versus mask match in Mexico and some crazy shit happens and being like, oh, why did Pentagon kick out of that fucking table spot? You're like, well, because it's mask versus mask, motherfucker.
Yeah, but also even when you think about it, like built into the match, Daniel's on top of the cage. Skipper hit the cage walk Rana. Skipper's taken out because he just freaking ran at somebody off a cage. He can't go for a pin. And then Daniels is on top of the cage. And fair enough, he drops an elbow off the cage and then somebody kicks out. But still, it rocks.
Yeah. I just think you can give some leniency in these kind of matches because it's meant to be these big emotional epics where you're kicking out of everything.
Yeah, because this is like the defining feud of TNA. Like TNA in general, not just tag teams. This is probably like the TNA feud for the space of the last 18 months. And they're doing a losing team disbands match finally. And yeah, go wild. Do everything you can.
For sure.
The locker room gave Chris Harris, James Storm, Christopher Daniels, and Elix Skipper a standing ovation when they returned to the locker room following their cage match.
James is off crying and jacking off in a corner.
He lost the tag titles earlier tonight, but we'll talk about that in a second. So, not only did he lose the belts, but AMW have outstaged him once again.
Fucking what a loser.
Observers, Daniels was in tears once he got backstage. Observers believe his reaction were to the fact that he and Skipper will no longer be teaming, as much as they were to the reaction the main event received.
Aww.
Because like Daniels and Skipper were like, I love Elix Skipper, but like he's not a great pro wrestler.
You know, he's a high spots guy.
Which is the reason like the Triple X team worked so well, in that you have Daniels, who is a great pro wrestler and can paper over the cracks in Skipper's game to form a team that is better than the sum of their parts and can have a match like this. But we will get some Skipper single stuff, so you can look forward to that, I guess. And also Daniels Skipper stuff. You can look forward to that.
I was going to say, I think I'm more excited for the Daniels stuff, but hey, we'll get to it.
So the tag team title feud heading into Turning Point was the Tree Live Crew versus Team Canada.
Yay, let's talk about this.
November 12th, Impact. Tree Live Crew win a real quick match against Jason Static, Justin Cage, and Scotty Matthews. Great jobber names.
Fuck, marry, kill. Based on name exclusively. Jason Static, Justin Cage, and Scotty Matthews.
Okay, you kill Scotty Matthews, that's easy.
Okay, we're both agreed we're killing Scotty Matthews.
Who seems like a better long-term relationship than Jason Static or Justin Cage?
Well, you know with Static, it's going to get Static.
That's true. So you do the one night stand with Jason Static and you really marry Cage. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that's it. This is the best podcast that's ever existed.
Tree Live Crew win with their lifting axe kick. Team Canada attack them after the match, and BG James rages afterwards.
He goes into a fit of anger.
I'm not sure is there any other angles. Like, there's like Petey Williams and Bobby Roode beat Jarrell Clark and Mikey Batts. That's more to build to the PD match than anything Rude's doing.
Yeah.
There's the angle where the Kings of Wrestling attack Conan to take him out. He's ambulanced away.
Which then we get Ron Killings replacing Conan in the pay-per-view match. We gave a lot of praise to Victory Rhodes' hype with every match feeling like it was the natural crescendo of something, basically. This one, not so much.
It probably doesn't help that you switch booking regimes mid pay-per-view cycle.
Sure, but like even the first couple weeks, you know, you're not really getting much progression.
I guess you would also ask yourself the question, how much build do you want to Eric Young and Bobby Roode against BG James and Conan?
True.
Yeah, that's it. That's basically it. They take out, the Kings of Wrestling take out Conan.
You get Ron Killings and Bobby Roode in a singles too.
Oh, yes, you do. Conan had been taken out, so Truth had an axe kicks, but D'Amore had the ref distracted. EY tried to interfere, but then BG even the odds. Truth won with a pedigree.
Sorry, double overhook facebuster.
Oh, or the DDT, as Mike today will always call it. Yes. It's a modified DDT. So BG cuts a promo being like, we're...
Don't need this socialized medicine.
Yeah, it's a decent line, a turning point, and then they'll be coming for the Kings of Wrestling after that.
They should respond with, yeah, well, Conan's going to need to be $50,000 in debt because he spent one night in a local medical facility.
Owned. Turning point opened with Eric Young and Bobby Roode defeating BG James and Conan to become the new NWA World Tag Team Champions.
Well, I'm excited for Eric Young and Bobby Roode as Tag Team Champions. I wonder what BG feels about it.
I wondered, was the plan all along to take the belts off them, or is there a little bit of like, you're going to blow up at us, we're going to take the belts off you?
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like that.
So D'Amore looked to interfere, but then Johnny Devine made his return running in. Also, the game, yes. Triple H.
Thank God that Johnny Devine made his return here.
He cracked BG with a hockey stick. Canadians win the belts.
It was okay.
It was a perfectly fine whatever I get. I probably threw 2.5 out of just being generous.
Yeah, I think, but also it was like opening pay-per-view excitement too.
So that probably helps. TNA filmed the injury angle with Conan at the Final Impact show before the pay-per-view so that they could pull him from the event. He took a booking the same night in Mexico for AAA promoter Antonio Pena. It was the first time that Conan has worked for Pena in over a decade.
I'm very interested in Conan as a star in Mexico. It's always something I've heard about but never delved in. I saw one match recently and I was like, yeah, I see it. I understand.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever seen a prime Conan match in Mexico.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a prime Conan match full stop. All I've ever seen is like his WCW stuff, which is bad, and his TNA stuff, which is also not very good, except as a manager where he's fantastic. So I don't think I've ever seen Conan as like the peak of his powers, which I should probably look into.
That's right. Our next series, the Conan Mexico retrospective.
We'll watch 3 matches and be like, yep, he was a big star.
Like, yep, people went crazy for him and there's 50,000 people in this venue. He's in the Hall of Fame, right? The Wrestling Observer?
I think so, yeah. We had a lot of big debuts in October, November. We have only one real big one in December, and that's the debut of Diamond Dallas Page.
I just want to clarify, he is in the Hall of Fame, 2009.
So DDP made his TNA debut.
DDP. Okay, so I'm into this a lot. I love DDP coming in. I think that's a great addition. It's one of the few WCW, because I've seen a lot of NWA, Jim Crockett stuff. But, which is weird to say now. But I haven't seen a lot of like actual WCW Monday Night War stuff. The one guy I've seen a lot of is DDP. So I'm into this idea of DDP coming in. I'm into him and Raven coming in together because I think that's a really big mid-card feud. What I'm not into is this weird subtext of like Raven fucking DDP's wife and Eric Watts.
What's that, Liam? You said you're not into Eric Watts?
Well, this is a different era, there's no Goldilocks here.
You're saying Goldilocks was carrying him entirely?
I would say so.
So yes, Diamond Dallas Page makes his TNA debut on the November 12th Impact. Raven opens that show shouting at Larry Zbyszko, demanding he be booked in a match with Monty Brown coming off of Victory Road. Larry's like, yeah, I'll go for it, who cares? Monty pounced Raven into the referee. Abyss comes out and Black Hole slams Monty, but then Diamond Dallas Page appears out of the crowd, out of nowhere, hits Raven with a diamond cutter, allowing Monty to score the win as a hooded figure. Watch Abyss from a distance.
Who could that be? This was This was alright. A good debut for DDP.
I thoroughly approve of the number of diamond cutters that are thrown this month.
Yeah, well, that's why you're here, you know. DDP, not in the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame.
I'm waiting for the episode of Impact that has a pounce, a black hole slam, and a diamond cutter, which I actually think about it, this match had all three, making it the best match in TNA history.
My God.
Because Monty pounced Raven, Abyss black hole slammed Monty, and then DDP diamond cuttered Raven. That is the trifecta of great finishes all in one match. Well done, TNA. You nailed it in one.
If only like AJ was here to Styles Clash DDP at the end.
Yeah, throwing a Canadian Destroyer, just PD hitting like Saban with a... Actually, no, he would never hit Saban with Canadian Destroyer. Hit like Red with a Destroyer on the floor.
Yeah, then we would have been perfect.
DDP's leaving the building. Franchise catches up with them, asks them, what are you doing here in TNA? DDP says Raven knows exactly why he's here.
DDP kind of like big leagues Shane Douglas a lot.
I approve of it.
Is there like Jersey heat?
You know my pro Scott Hudson philosophy. Anybody big league in Shane Douglas is good in my book.
Listen, I agree that the loss of Scott Hudson is terrible, but I don't think we should take our anger out on poor franchise.
I'm like Goldilocks when Hudson took her job.
How dare. Actually, that's why I'm happy that he's gone now. I'm like, you screwed Goldilocks, now Goldilocks screws you in the long run.
November 19th, Johnny B. Bad faced Raven. Hey Liam, tell me about Johnny B. Bad. Tell me about Johnny.
I fucking hate Johnny B. Bad.
Why do you hate Johnny B. Bad?
He does nothing for me. Isn't he like a real nice guy? I bet he's a nice guy.
That's the classic Brian Alvarez. It's like, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but...
I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I never want to see him on TV.
When he comes out, he shoots his boomstick or whatever they call it into the crowd.
Oh, great. You know me, I'm all about the boomstick.
You do love confetti. You like fall all over yourself whenever you see it.
Yeah, no, I hate John B. Bad.
He hits a TKO, he hits a Frankensteiner.
Oh, the worst fucking move of all time.
Wow, why do you hate a Frankensteiner?
No, the TKO, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
The ultimate jag move.
Liam went on like a 5-minute rant about his hatred of the TKO on the watch along.
Ultimate jag move. You know how you know someone's not going to be a star if they do the damn TKO?
Hey, Johnny B. Bad's been in wrestling for like 15 years at this stage, so what do you know?
I suppose that's true.
He's facing Raven here. He accidentally bumps the referee. Raven hits the Raven effect, but then DDP hits the ring, drops Raven with a diamond cutter, allowing Johnny B. Bad to pick up the win.
Right. Good John B. Bad push.
Same thing as the week before. Franchise stopped DDP on the way out. It says Raven's been living rent-free in his head for 2.5 years, and now rent's due.
How much is rent, do you think?
How much is rent in DDP's head? Probably pretty expensive.
Probably the same as living in the fucking DDP yoga house.
Franchise has Raven. Asks about DDP. Raven said that Eric Watts is responsible for all the heartache and agony. And then does a rhyming promo, which I'm going to recite in its entirety.
In the voice.
DDP, you should have stayed retired. You're weak, decrepit. You should have never been hired. You want to make this a game? Take careful aim. You've lost your fame. Be very afraid, because I'm coming to maim. Bang! It's not the cutter. It's the Raven effect. 6 feet under. You'll have time to reflect. Watch the CD-ROM. I'm dropping the bomb. Intellectual Vietnam. You never cross Raven in his home. Goodbye, Paige. Welcome to the Terror Dome. Quote the Raven. Nevermore. As I do, in fact, strike the pose.
You didn't stumble on the Terror Dome line, though.
Yeah, because I'm a pro. I can hit my poetry.
Yeah, that sucks. That's really bad. That's like me at like 12 being like, yo, I can probably rap.
Watch the CD-ROM. I'm dropping the bomb. Intellectual Vietnam.
Intellectual Vietnam is such like a rap bar.
Oh dear God. Bless Raven. Bless him and his rhyming promos.
I love him.
November 26th, Raven is meant to face Vordell Walker. Bell rings, but then DDP hits the ring. Coming out to his Smells Like Teen Spirit knockoff, by the way.
Yeah, is it better than the WWE Smells Like Teen Spirit knockoff?
Well, they didn't do one.
I suppose the WCW Smells Like Teen Spirit knockoff.
That's my big problem with WWE. They're fucking cowards. And not only...
Did they not do one?
Not only did they not do a Smells Like Teen Spirit knockoff, but they've edited the WCW one off of old episodes.
Oh my God. I thought they did one because he has one in the games.
Very upset, but here he is with this Smells Like Teen Spirit knockoff here in TNA. Probably better than the WCW one, honestly, as knockoffs of songs go.
Yeah. It's pretty close.
DDP's mad because Raven talked about how Raven was the one who made DDP. DDP talks about how he won the title with Hogan, Sting, and Flair in the ring, and Raven is just jealous because Raven never won a belt.
Hey, what the fuck? Raven was ECW champion. That counts.
We don't respect belts like that here in the NWA-TNA.
Well, you know what? Only one of these two people will win the NWA title, won't they?
That's a very good point. So the subtext here, they talk a lot about it, is that there is some past between Raven and DDP.
Is it subtext?
Well, they don't. They're being like obtuse about what they're actually saying. It's like
They're being coy.
You don't want to say what you're really mad about, but there's an issue between Raven and DDP about Kim. The subtext being Raven banged his wife, but Raven's like, no, it's Eric Watts you want to talk about. So is it like Watts is the one who banged his wife?
And why is DDP so mad about people banging his wife anyway?
He loves banging more than anybody else. He's the bang man, and he cannot give out about banging.
Yeah, he should be approved. He should be. Sorry, I just got distracted by a Rikishi tweet.
What was the tweet? Please read it in its verbatim.
There's nothing to read. It's a picture.
What's it a picture of?
I'm gonna send it to you, and you can deem how to describe it.
Oh, I'm going to get distracted by the Rikishi tweet. Okay. Liam shared a tweet. What did... All right, so it says, now this is unacceptable. Not acceptable, unacceptable. With a picture of a monkey with his ass out? So...
I think it's his balls.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, either way, Rikishi's not pleased about it.
Yeah, if you ever have any time, go through Rikishi's old tweets. It's nothing but bangers.
Well, I don't even know where we were. Watts, Raven, DDP, Kim love triangle of some sort.
Yeah.
So Raven has some new minions he hangs around with.
I want to know who these minions are.
You want to know who's under the mask? It's probably just Johnny Devine. It's apparently always Johnny Devine now.
Yeah, not wrong.
I think your guess that it was the Naturals might not be off base because they do nothing else this month.
They're also like very skinny.
They tried to attack DDP, but DDP hits them both with diamond cutters, which again I approve of. The more diamond cutters, the better.
Bang.
Raven did have a good line in this where the DDP is like, "You shoved a knife in my back," and Raven's like, "There's so many knives in your back. How do you know which one is mine?"
That is a really good line. I thought Raven's still very good. Like, he gets a little hokey, he gets a little ham-fisted. I'm using ham-fisted a lot in this show. But he's still, like, one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest star there.
And one of the more enjoyable things is still, again, a Raven program this month, because this DDP program has diamond cutters, and I approve.
So I was thinking about our end-of-year awards. I have no clue.
Oh, it's tough, isn't it?
I was thinking of, like, Wrestler of the Year, and I was like... AJ? No.
It's
Raven? No.
If you pick AJ, it's like the default I guess answer.
But, like, I don't want to give it to AJ.
Monty?
Yeah, I was thinking Monty. Chris Harris?
He had a good year. You can't say he didn't have a good year. Abyss?
It's not been a good year.
Goldilocks?
It might be. I mean, best promo. I don't even know what our own award categories are, but
I think we have best character rather than best promo, but I'd have to check.
we should we need to change it to best. We need to add a best segment now because we've entered the TNA segment era. Yeah. I do not know who I'm giving Wrestler of the Year to this year.
Which will make our award show even more interesting when it comes after our next episode.
There's not a lot of options. BG James?
How dare you? Don't you even mention it. December 3rd, Impact. DDP comes out. Go home show. DDP. I like the way DDP comes through the crowd for his entrance. It's a nice little touch, a little different.
Shades of John Moxley.
I also appreciate, like, he comes out the tunnel, he does his bang, and then he steps off of the ramp into, like, the crowd.
He does his bang.
He does do his bang. We're all about banging here with the Diamond Dallas Page. So yeah, he comes out, he's going through the crowd, he's doing his poses. Raven attacks him from behind, they brawl for a while. Looks for a diamond cutter, Raven bails. As Eric Watts watches on from the crowd.
What could it mean?
What could it mean? It's a very good question.
What's could it mean?
No. Turning Point.
Do you remember the Titans?
Turning Point. DDP.
That was a reference to 3 hours ago.
We're pretty deep, all right. We had the 3-hour mentality very early in the show, so...
I think we've gone in reverse, because now I'm feeling like I have the energy of hour one.
You got the Watts energy. That's what we call it. That's why he's called Watts.
Yeah, got all these kilowatts.
You're powered up. DDP faced Raven with Watts on commentary at Turning Point. DDP's in ring debut.
There's always Watts on commentary. How else would they run the mics?
I already made a Watts joke. You can't just double down.
I can double down.
I like this match. It was a good enough match for what it was.
I mean, like, am I going to get mad at a DDP versus Raven mid-card match on my TNA pay-per-view? No.
It was a little overbooked, but who cares? It's DDP and Raven.
Bang. They should swap and just do DDP versus Jeff Jarrett.
We'll see that before long.
And DDP should win.
Well, we'll see.
It doesn't make me feel like he's going to win.
They kicked out of the Diamond Cutter. They kicked out of the Raven Effect. Funny that he does a Diamond Cutter near fall in his first match. He's like, I probably won't be around very long. Might as well have him kick out of it.
Well, I feel like they well, yeah. But like I feel like that's been the build of the match too. Is like they're just going to do their moves. They're going to hit their DDTs. They're going to hit their Diamond Cutters, and everyone's going to kick out.
Yeah, when DDP hit the Diamond Cutter, Don West shouted about it. It's the Stone Cutter, and then Mike Tenay's like, Diamond Cutter! Two of Raven's henchmen tried to interfere, but Watts killed them both with choke slams, feigning to be on the side of DDP until it turns out he turned on DDP and clotheslined him too.
Fucking swerve.
Went to choke slam him, but DDP just dropped him with a Diamond Cutter.
Awesome. What sucks too, he gets fucking jobbed out hard.
Yeah, and then DDP hits a second Diamond Cutter on Raven to pick up the win in his TNA debut.
Bang.
Nice little mid-card pay-per-view match for what it was.
Yeah, let's see where this goes, I guess.
And as always, I will keep saying it, more Diamond Cutters, the better.
Bang.
Brings us over to the X Division, starting with the X Division title feud, Petey Williams versus Chris Sabin.
Did you know that Petey Williams is an amazing athlete?
No, there's a new one this month. He's won 3 Ultimate X matches.
Didn't they like start one of the promos off with Petey Williams, and I was like,
yeah.
And then I think they changed it.
I nearly popped out of my chair when I heard the Petey Williams, but then it was something else because it was like Petey Williams has the most devastating finishing move. It's like, oh,
yeah. But it started with the same Petey Williams, and you're like, oh my god. Because it was like, it wasn't even like the week after. It was like November 19th or something.
The story of this match, Chris Sabin became number 1 contender on the Best Damn Sports Show. He won the Ultimate X over Sanjay.
Stop talking about that show.
Fair enough. But he won that match. He's number 1 contender. But the story of their match is that they came up together. They trained together in the same school, in the same training class under Scott D'Amore. But Chris Sabin has the counter to the Canadian Destroyer.
And that is to not jump on his own head.
I will say, I have to say, Chris Sabin, I love you. But if you have the counter to the guy's finishing move, I'd maybe not show it off until the pay-per-view.
Yeah, you should just take the Canadian Destroyer for a few weeks, and then he'll think that he's got it, and he'll lower his guard.
Then you can do your little take a knee, hit a cradle shock.
Also, yeah, his strategy is to just fall down.
Yeah, he drops to a knee, he lifts them up. At least, like, he does counter straight into his own finishing move, which is a good touch.
Yeah. This is like when Kenny would counter the Rainmaker by just falling over.
November 12th, Impact. Chris Sabin faces Alex Shelley. Very, very quick match. It probably was meant to be longer until Kevin Nash talked for 6 hours.
Ah, damn it, I'm off the Kevin Nash train now.
Petey was watching on from the ramp. Sabin wins with a cradle shock. Petey jumped Sabin after the match, went for the Canadian Destroyer, but Sabin did his counter where he drops the one knee, then lifts Petey up in the fireman's carry position and hits the cradle shock.
We are firmly disproving the commentary's idea that Alex Shelley is better without Goldilocks, because it is not going better for Alex Shelley without Goldilocks.
It has only gone downhill. He has no title matches this month, so...
He barely has matches.
He does... Actually, that's the only Alex Shelley match other than the Styles match at the Best Time, isn't it?
Don't talk about that, sure.
November 19th, Petey Williams and Bobby Roode face Jarrell Clark and Mikey Batts. Petey Williams wins with a Destroyer on Clark. Sabin comes down, reverses the Destroyer into the cradle shock again after the match.
He's really showing up. He's giving Petey ample time to devise a new strategy.
To work out the counter to the counter?
Yeah.
Following week, we have a 3-way match. Sabin versus Shane versus Petey. Once again, Sabin reverses the Destroyer into the cradle shock for the win. Pins the X Division champion heading into Turning Point.
Why is Michael Shane in this?
They wanted Sabin to reverse the move and pin Petey, but they didn't want to give away the singles match. To which you just say, just do Sabin and Sanjay against Petey and one of Team Canada. But listen, we can't all have good ideas here.
But why Michael Shane?
He's there as a body so they don't give away the pay-per-view match, while also wanting Sabin to pin Petey.
But why Michael Shane of all people?
Because he's just a guy in the X Division. It could have been anybody. They just chose Michael Shane.
Should have been Shelley. Should have been Shelley.
December 3, Kid Cash faces Chris Sabin.
Kid Cash has been somewhat busy on these shows.
He's winning most weeks at least.
And speaking of winning...
Yeah, for some reason he pins Chris Sabin.
I guess... Yeah, the idea here is that, like, okay, you've got the answer to PD stuff, but, you know, you can get caught up in your own stuff, too.
Yeah, because the finish here is Sabin goes for the cradle shock, Cash rolls through, pins him holding the tights. So like the entire story of the month is that Sabin has the counter for the Canadian Destroyer, Sabin has the counter for the Canadian Destroyer, Sabin has the counter for the Canadian Destroyer, until the final show of the month where it turns out somebody has the counter for the Cradle Shock, where maybe Sabin is too full of his oats, maybe he's focused too much on the Canadian Destroyer and not winning matches.
Yeah, and I'm pretty, which doesn't make sense because he won the last match, but when this happened, I was like, oh shit, are we getting a 3-way with Kid Cash in it? And I was like, way more excited for that.
It turns out that match rocked between Sabin and Petey, so you can't give out.
Yes, I know. But I was very excited for the prospect of Kid Cash in that match too.
Kid Cash is too busy running back a 6-man tag they did on Impact.
Yeah, well, what the fuck's on with that? We'll talk about that next.
Turning point for the X Division Championship, Petey Williams faced Chris Sabin in, I think, the first great X Division title match maybe since 2002.
This feels like the best stuff since Sabin had those like Hoovy matches.
Yeah, which weren't even title matches, so
Yeah,
it is the best matches. It probably is the best match in the X Division since that Super X Cup final.
Oh no, Garrett, I got sad because I started thinking of Paul London again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why can't I have good things?
You only got a little bit of Spanky too.
I'm blaming Jeff.
Jarrett or Hardy?
Both.
Yeah, these two went out. They absolutely rocked it. Great match. They went out there, tore the house down. Petey's thing was he went for the sharpshooter rather than the Canadian Destroyer to try and beat Sabin.
Which I thought was really good touch. I love that every Canadian, like Brett, imagine being so over that everyone from your country can use your move as a second finish.
Yeah, and it's like the Eddie Three Amigos thing, isn't it? It's like the free pop as a Canadian as you do a sharpshooter.
Yeah, but it's like if the Three Amigos was also a finish that you could use.
Yeah. Somebody should use the Three Amigos as a finish.
Well, like, didn't Eddie used to do it into a brainbuster as a finish?
Well, it used to be the setup for the Frog Splash, didn't it?
Yes, but like I thought there was like a brief a time where he would like do the last Amigo as a brainbuster, and you would pin people off that.
That would be a cool finish because the Brainbusters rule.
Brainbusters do rule. They rule so much that Austin Theory taking a brainbuster led to him winning a match today.
I didn't see that. Well, that makes me sad because that means he's a champion, doesn't it?
Yes, in that 3-way with Seth was bringing him up for a suplex, and Bobby speared Seth and then fell out of the ring, and as he came down, he brainbusted Austin Theory, but Austin Theory landed on Seth and got the pin.
Oh.
It was a great match.
It's much better last time when we were recording and Austin Theory could be dunked on for cashing in his briefcase on the US title.
Yeah, now I suppose this is instead of finding positives, let's find faults and find places to dunk on people, because that's really weird booking, you know? Mm. He cashed in and lost like a big loser and then just won a match like 2 weeks later.
Once again by complete fluke.
Yeah.
Good booking. Well done, Paul.
Paul's great. Garrett's still, he's off the pole patrol now.
I haven't watched WTV in like 2 months. I've been like, it was better when I watched it, but I haven't watched it.
Sounds like you're Paul out.
Oh, owned Triple H.
Please add applause audio in there.
I can
after that joke.
Yeah,
but I want like a roaring, like full venue applause.
So these two went all out, Petey and Sabin. Sabin hit a cool dive to the floor where he went over the ring posts. He also hit a cool float over into an alley-oop, followed by a regulation pile driver.
Awesome.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Finish was a little flat. Petey just grabbed some knucks out of his trunks and punched him. Retained the belt. Petey, he did continue countering the Destroyer. It's not like he worked out the counter to the counter, because the finish was he countered the Destroyer into the Cradle Shop, but the more pulled Petey down, and then he knocked him. And they did the terrible knocks where they did the knocks wrapped in, it's like the tape one or cardboard one. It's like, just use regular knocks.
Probably hard to find.
I don't care. If you're going to do a knocks finish, go find some brass knocks.
How much more angry would you have been at the fucking Full Gear main event if they handed the rolled up knocks?
I would have thought it was even worse than it already was. Just use the ring then.
I'm a big fan of the thing of coins, because when you hit them and they explode.
That's a good visual.
Yeah.
So Petey retains the X Division title in, as I said, probably the best X Division title match, the best X Division match full stop in over a year.
Yeah. It's that Sabin guy, he's pretty good.
He is pretty good. And like we were talking about, when's the first time we really see Petey? It's like, this was pretty close to seeing Petey.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where we go with the next month's pay-per-view.
So coming off the back of the Jimmy Snuka segment at Victory Road, we have the Kid Cash and Sanjay Dutt Hector Garza feud thing that's going on here. So
sorry, we have breaking news about Vince Russo.
Oh God, go on.
From JRH in the You've Got to Be Kidding Me Discord channel.
Please inform me, JRH.
And I quote, "Finally getting around to listen to the third WSX episode. Good. Believe it or not, Vince Russo actually does have a job in wrestling in 2022. He actually runs his own shindy promotion called Devotion Championship Wrestling, which has a weekly fight show. I think the promotion is technically affiliated with OVW in some way, so you know the quality you're gonna expect there.
I think we have to go watch that show now.
I think we have to watch Devotion Championship Wrestling.
Let me look into the degree of involvement Russo has, and if it's very heavy, we'll do at least 1 or 2 of them for Patreon.
We got sent a screenshot for a number 1 contendership triple threat match, triple with 2 Ps, which which involves Brett Buffshay, Bud Birch, and Red Matthews. And this what appears to be labelled as Season 3, Episode 20.
Dear Lord. If he's actually producing that much wrestling in 2022, how does nobody notice?
Probably because it's Devotion Championship Wrestling. So I look forward to seeing what that's about, perhaps. At the very least, me and Garrett will finish recording this and we'll go watch it to see what it is.
We may even do some for Patreon if it doesn't seem either too bad or too boring.
Or too offensive.
That's always an option.
And I don't mean as like mad. I mean like offensive to my sensibilities as a human being. I've started Mad Men, okay? I don't have time for Devotion Championship Wrestling.
You've already watched the best, Dams. You've already committed as much time as you have to bad wrestling.
Yeah, I paid my dues.
November 12th, Impact. Kid Cash and Shazarian defeat the trio of Hector Garza, LA Park, and Psychosis. For some reason, Garza's the one pinned here.
I guess because they're planning to do something with Garza moving forward, like with him and Cash. That was my guess. Maybe I'm off base with that.
Well, yeah, that's the feud for the month, I guess. But, like, you just had Garza win the gauntlet, and you have 2 other people in this match who aren't going to be around anymore.
I want to build heat to the singles match.
But they just do the singles match in Impact then.
I don't know. I'm devil's advocate. If you want to shit on Dusty's booking, that's on you.
Well, this is pre-Dusty coming in. Thank you very much. This is still Double J and Dutch's fault that Garza lost this match.
Yeah. Why don't they should have just done that singles match at the paper.
They probably went better off, or even just Cash against Sanjay.
Cash against Sanjay or Cash against Hector. God, Cash versus Hector would have been good.
Garza's team jumped their entrance. They came out to Kid Cash's music.
Which, maybe they just like the music. My name is Kid.
Well, that's not a song, but sure.
It is. Kid Cash rocks. There you go.
Garza was going for the tornado, but Tracy distracted him. Kid Cash hit him with a coconut for the win. They do this match again, basically the following week with different partners. It's Kid Cash and Shazarian against Sanjay Siaki and Garza this time.
I'm being real. I thought it was the same team, basically. These matches have all morphed into one match in my brain.
Cash hits Siaki with a coconut for the win, and then Shark Boy shows up and helps them hit Stereo Superfly splashes before they get beaten up by the Kings of Wrestling.
That's a good bit.
Getting beaten up by the Kings of Wrestling?
No, the Superfly splashes.
November 26th. Is there any build to this match on this show? I don't think there is. Oh no, Kid Cash faced Hector Garza. There you go.
There you go. They should have done that on the paper.
Shazarian comes out as Tracy distracts the ref. Garza takes out Shazarian and then rolls through on the Moneymaker for the win. Cash hits Garza with a coconut before the rest of the X-Division make the save.
I wonder what Kid Cash's feelings are about having a coconut gimmick.
It's a good weapon.
It's a solid weapon.
I feel like getting hit with the coconut would knock somebody out.
Oh my god. Kid Cash should obviously have the roll of coins that we were talking about earlier.
And he's like, this is the real Moneymaker.
You know why they call me Kid Cash? Because I have $7.50 in coins on me at all times.
He should make the $7 in his pocket rock catchphrase his catchphrase, but it's a roll of coins he hits people with.
He should do a pocket sand, but instead it's just a fistful of loose coins that he throws in people's face.
That would actually be a tremendous gimmick.
That would be awesome.
Just hurling 15 coins out of your pocket right in somebody's eyes.
That would hurt so badly.
Turning point. Hector Garza, Sanjay Dutt, and Sonny Siaki face Kid Cash and Frankie Kazarian and Michael Shane.
I'm just imagining Kid Cash throwing loose change in people's faces. With his shitty little grin.
And then you do a thing where a wrestler's real thrifty and he starts gathering up the change and he gets rolled up.
Yeah. No, Kid Cash tries to pick it all up to do it again and gets rolled up.
This was a nice little match. Siaki launched Sanjay like 15 feet into the air for a dive.
That was fucking crazy.
Tracy tried to interfere, but accidentally hit Kaz with the pie in the sky, allowing Garza to fall with the tornado, and Garza picks up a win.
Yay, Garza winning things.
We're going to strap the rocket to Garza next month, so have fun with that. And then he's going to be gone, so have fun with that too.
Like he's saying have fun with that as if I won't have fun with the Hector Garza push.
You're very anti-Hector Garza. You're like, he sucks. Why is he even on TV?
That's me. Definitely not a guy who's put over Hector Garza at every opportunity.
Kid Cash continues to be on his best behavior. He's even getting along well with people he had problems with in the past, said one wrestler. He's been used in 6-man tag matches at the last 2 pay-per-views, but there was talk of having him work an angle with Roddy Piper. However, Piper rejected the idea. The feeling in the locker room is that Cash is on probation with the office right now based on some of the problems he's caused in the past.
Garrett, just a quick update for you. There has been no score in Belgium and Morocco yet.
I do have it on next to me. Costa Rica beat Japan.
Damn it. I'm rooting for Japan.
There was rumblings that they were looking to do like a tag match with Piper and Snook.
I thought you were going to give me like World Cup rumblings.
No, with Piper and Snuka on either side of tags, but that apparently was not particularly on the horizon.
Why would Piper and Snuka be on opposite sides? They're friends now.
That's true. They've made up. They have forgiveness in their hearts now.
Wow. There's so many easy jokes that I'm not going to take.
We have a couple more things to cover in Best of the Rest. We've mostly talked about all the actual angles that led to Abyss versus Monty Brown. There was the attacks during the Raven DDP debut. The Abyss basically cost Monty the world title by attacking him from behind with the plank and injuring his back.
Which looked stupid, by the way.
They should have done a slightly stronger attack on Monty if that was going to be his out for losing the NWA title match.
Or just acknowledged it in some way, but I don't know. He should have had Janice.
He hit him in the back with a plank once. That's it. It wasn't like he wailed on him or choke slammed him on something strong or hard. He just hit him with a wooden plank, like a 3-inch thick wooden plank once. And Monty's like, "Oh, my back."
But they could have done a big spot out the back or something. Put him through something.
Because you're building to Serengeti Survival, where the rules are
put him in the tax.
Pinfall, submission, or tax. Put him in the tax. That builds the pay-per-view match, and you give him a good visual, and that gives him an excuse for losing. Yeah, so clearly we should give us the book 2014.
Or any company. Devotion Wrestling Championship or whatever the fuck. Give us the book.
There was also a squash on the November 19th back to where Abyss beat Kevin Jones. Any relation?
Yes.
Cool.
But you won't know where.
Abyss hit him with the black hole slams. The hooded figure watched on. Then Abyss picked him up and hit him with a pounce to send a message to Monty Brown. Made the ref count 3 twice. Got his tax, but Monty made the save.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about this match, despite it being pretty alright.
Yeah, so turning point, Serengeti Survival. The alpha male Monty Brown defeated Abyss by hitting an Alabama slam into the tax, where Abyss mostly he went head first into the tax.
Yeah, which is not good because visually it looks bad, so it got booed, but probably hurt way the fuck more than landing in a flat back bump into the tax. Fair play to Abyss for choosing to roll around in them, so he at least had some visible tax in his arms.
Yeah, Abyss, a true pro who knew he basically not quite missed it. As he said, he did go head first into them, but that means there were very few visible tacks, so he did just shimmy his way into a few more tacks.
Probably should have just called it and had Monty powerbomb or something.
I guess the issue was immediately the ref started ringing for the bell.
Yeah,
so
because that was the finish.
Yeah, so they didn't really have any time to improvise because rules of Serengeti Survival. Everybody knows them.
Garrett, what is your favourite Serengeti Survival match?
This one. It's only one. When you're out in the Serengeti, Liam, you're facing down a lion. You look him in the eyes.
Yeah, I'm imagining I'm there right now.
You have 3 options. You could pin the lion, you can submit the lion, or you can slam the lion in thumbtacks.
I'm going to throw a pocket of loose change in its face.
I'm going to throw a pocket of loose thumbtacks in its face.
How many... Okay, that's ridiculous, Garrett. How often do you have loose thumbtacks in your pocket?
How often do you in 2022 have loose change in your pocket?
More than you'd think. I'm poor.
But do you not live in a cashless society?
Nope.
I don't remember the last time I've had a pocket full of change.
I think I have change in my wallet right now if I were to look.
I do have access to change. I have a tin of change that I could draw from.
Change the world.
But I don't have a pocket full of change.
Or maybe you should, Garrett. Maybe you should get down here with the working man sometime.
Just go boop with my card and it takes money out of my ones and zeros.
Oh, look at you with all your ones and zeros. I'm all zeros.
The last thing to talk about had no build. It's turning point. It's Johnny B. Bad and the Empire Stain Pat Kenny versus the NYC.
They call him the Empire Stain.
He is an Empire Stain on this podcast, I'll tell you that much.
Oh.
Heavy shot at Pat Kenny, perhaps unnecessary.
He's not even the worst guy on his team.
Johnny B. Bad is right there, and also Disco's in this match, so.
This was a match that existed.
It was like a playoff of last month's pay-per-view match, which Jack Willett was special referee, so it was building off the Trinity and Jackie match. Trinity was scheduled to be at the pay-per-view, but called at the last second to say she got a stunt gig for Steven Spielberg movie in New York, and thus couldn't make it.
Alright, let's find out what movie this was.
It's probably War of the Worlds, right?
A little-known film. No, that is the... Trinity Wikipedia does not take you to the wrestler first. It takes you to the Christian Doctrine.
I would have thought I would take it to the Matrix character.
No, the Christian Doctrine, I think, is a little bigger. Although, 2004... War of the Worlds, it was 2005, but... maybe it was in pre-production at some point. Maybe they were doing some stunt work.
It would have absolutely been filmed in 2004, especially with the June release in 05. That would have been filmed in 04. So it's probably War of the Worlds.
All right. Fair enough. Probably War of the... Well, what else was Spielberg doing, That hack. Just burned my bridges earlier. Maybe it was Munich.
Was she in Munich? Did she do stunts for Munich?
I'm not gonna check. Maybe, Garrett, it was The Terminal.
Oh, she would have done the shaving stunts with Tom Hanks?
Maybe it was Catch Me If You Can. Maybe it was Minority Report.
Both those movies were already out.
Maybe it was The Fabelmans.
Little very far in advance he's shooting that one.
Maybe it was the BFG.
Again, very far in advance.
The Bound for Glory.
No, that's not until next year.
What's your favourite Spielberg movie, Garrett?
I'm very fond of Jurassic Park, believe it or not. I enjoy Catch Me If You Can.
A little underground one.
Catch Me If You Can is fantastic. His Tintin movie fucking rocks.
Is it like the semi-recentish one?
The 2011 one, which he made with Peter Jackson.
There. Yeah.
Which I've been meaning to rewatch. I should rewatch that.
You're one of these perverts who liked Ready Player One.
I do like Ready Player One. People think it's like the worst movie of all time. And I'm like, it's a perfectly fine little movie. Get over yourselves.
Is not good.
It has that shining sequence that rocks.
So, Garrett, I obviously will pick Schindler's List,
Of course.
So maybe you would have never have picked for your favourite.
AI, artificial intelligence.
Because you hate Liam Neeson.
I watched some of Taken last night, and that film rules. Liam Neeson,
it does rule.
It reaches the point. It's reached the point of cliche now, so people might roll their eyes at it, but that film rules.
I'm gonna say Hook.
Send Hook.
Send Hook, the 1991 American adventure film.
An Irish Christmas movie, by the way.
We have an update on the fucking Devotion Championship Wrestling. JRH comes in clutch again and says, I asked, thank you so much for alerting this to us. How much involvement does Russo have? He says, I don't know for sure, but the little I've watched, you can tell he's the one booking.
We might have to do some for Patreon, Liam, as a special Christmas present.
We should make those fuckers at Days of Thunder duel with us. This should be our counter to the WWA, is that they have to watch an episode of Devotion Championship Wrestling.
Hey, maybe they'll enjoy it. They watch Thunder. They're sickos.
I mean, who are we to talk? We're literally talking about the Empire Saint.
We are doing anything but talk about the Empire Saint.
I'm still really interested in what Trinity stunts in Stuart Little 2 were.
Again, she played the mouse.
She played the house.
Gilberty pushed Jackie, who was special ref, out of the way, and Pie faced her, so she body slammed him, and Bad won with a TKO.
So, Garrett, I have a football question.
Shoot.
I have Belgium and Morocco up on my second screen.
No, as I said shoot, that's a nice little football thing, but yeah, continue.
I gotcha. That's also a wrestling reference, you see, so it's pretty leveled, that joke. How much time do these games get?
What do you mean?
Because it says 30:53 on my screen right now. That seems like a long half.
Halves are 45 minutes long in football.
Oh, this Belgium fellow seems to have died.
Plus,
he's holding his leg.
Plus injury time.
Oh, I kicked him right in the shin. That's fun. That was the kneecap. That's not fun. I can relate to the kneecap, not the shin.
You have familiarity with kneecap injuries?
Yeah, as someone whose kneecap went the other way around once.
So yeah, 45-minute halves.
Seems to be alright now. Alright, well that seems like that's a long time to be running around.
Plus there's injury time usually, of which in this tournament it's usually 5 minutes added on minimum.
That's a lot.
I insist that the main reason Americans don't like soccer is that their entire brain is conditioned to watch sport in 30-second chunks because they're built around ad breaks over there. So they don't have the attention span to sit down and watch a game for 45 minutes without getting bored.
I also think it's a lack of scoring big moments like that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the same thing here with this is what people came here for. The same thing with Aussie rules football here is that we don't go to ad breaks until a goal is scored. So you're guaranteed to get a score. You might get points in the meantime, or behinds as they're called sometimes. but you won't get an ad break until like an actual goal is scored. So you can there's guaranteed action before you go to the break, and they're normally very high scoring games. But I think it's almost for people who I guess don't watch football, the idea of like watching a whole hour and a half of sport and the score being 0-0 or 1-1 at the end is very like hard. It's a hard barrier to break through.
But it is the most continuous action. Actually, no, the fastest field sport in the world is hurling. It's an Irish sport. There you go. But there is continuous action, which you don't get in baseball or American football.
But I think the problem is you can watch like basketball and you get continuous action that also scores 1 billion points.
Yeah, but I think basketball is one I can never get into just because of how continuous the scoring is.
Do you think that might be coming from a football fan background?
But no, because I can watch a rugby game, you know?
See, I like basketball is the sport I can put on the easiest because I put it on, it's all action, shit's going on, it's interesting. It's fun to watch with friends because there's constant movement. Although every time I've watched football in like a live setting, like at a bar or with people, I've always enjoyed it too.
Yeah, basketball doesn't have enough peaks and valleys. It's too continuous.
No, it's all these high spots. These exhibition kids need to slow it down.
So there's Garrett and Liam's 10 minutes on sport to round out the Empire Saint and Johnny B. Bad beating the NYC at Turning Point.
And talking about Steven Spielberg movies.
That is December 2004. That is Turning Point 2004. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the Final Resolution episode, and that'll probably be our last episode of the year, bar the Days of Thunder special. So you look forward to that.
We're really confirming this Day of Thunder special that we haven't actually ironed out in any way.
Nah, we said it on air. That means Dave and Lee have to do it. Those are the rules.
Oh no, but we've been so mean to them. By we, I mean, I guess me. How I laughed that it hurt my back.
Good. Pain. You deserve it. We'll be back in 1 week with Reviewed for Her, our Wrestling Society X series, our next episode. That'll be next week on Patreon, along with the World Tag League show that Liam is insisting we do. We'll also do that next week as well. Yeah. So that'll be on patreon.com/kiddingme or tnachat.com within the next week. As we mentioned, the watch along for Turning Point 2004 is there right now, where Liam discovered that his recording stopped working because his computer ran out of space. That's a fun time.
Yeah. You want like some discussion about me learning that space management is a thing?
It's the reason the audio quality will be slightly worse because we had to use the backup recording because Liam literally ran out of space on his computer because he doesn't know how hard drives work.
I didn't know where downloads downloaded to.
But yeah, that's on patreon.com/kiddingme or tnachat.com. Follow us on Twitter at TNA History Pod. Follow me on Twitter at Garrett Kinney. Follow Liam on Twitter at The Gleet Mooder. You can follow us on TikTok at TNA History. You can follow us on YouTube at You've Got to Be Kidding Me.
What's the other one? Hive? We give our hives out?
Oh yeah, at Garrett Kidney and at TNA Wrestling on Hive.
Yeah, follow me at TNA Wrestling. We got the donation thing. You can donate to us. What else we got? We got
I think we've run out.
YouTube. Go subscribe to the YouTube.
Our TikTok does have 17,000 subscribers.
Yeah, come on. All of you, everyone else is slacking compared to the 17,000 people who are listening to us from TikTok.
Ideally, we'd get another about 500 people subscribing to the YouTube and then watching about 1,700 hours worth of content, and then we can make some money there, so that would help. But yeah, all that there, social media, all out there in the world.
And then we'll start uploading full TNA shows. Don't worry about it. Like, they will never know. It'll be really great.
No one at the company will be able to find out. No one at all.
Yeah. We'll bury it deep.
Oh dear. So yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks with the Final Resolution episode. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.
Do the damn thing.